Welcome to SALLYFOXAUDIOBOOK. Chapter 92 to 108, The Pride of the Young Lord of the Everlasting Paradise. 2,381 words. No. Don't. Don't. Watching the 2 vials of violet serum pushed fully into their veins. Watching the single horn grow from Tanjiro's temple. Watching black lightning surge violently across Zenitsu's body. The final taut string in Inosuke's mind snapped. He collapsed to his knees, both hands clawing into the sand of the courtyard. His fingernails shattered. Blood poured freely. You bastards, you absolute bastards. His voice was hoarse and broken, like it was grinding gravel. Who told you to use it? Who gave you permission? That was for survival. That was the lifeline I left you in case one day I couldn't protect you anymore. I'm the big brother. I'm the one who should be wronged, the one who should be doubted. So why? Why would you turn yourselves into monsters for someone like me? He wailed openly. All his pride, all his ambition, shattered the moment he saw his brothers destroy themselves just to prove his innocence. But for those who had engraved slaying demons into their bones, this sight was nothing but blasphemy. That's demonic aura. Sanemi Shinazugawa's pupils shrank violently, killing intent overwhelming reason. The memory of personally beheading his demonized mother surged back in an instant. So that's it. So you are all in it together. Turning into demons right here. Is this a declaration of war? Clang. His Nichirin blade left its sheath. Die. Wind breathing exploded into motion, sand and dust spiraling as he charged, blade aimed straight for Tanjiro and Zenitsu's throats. Sanemi! Stop! Giyu Tomioka and Rengoku Kyojuro shouted at the same time, reaching for their swords, but Sanemi was too close. Too fast. No one could react in time. Except the boy whose sanity finally shattered under that blade. The world turned transparent. Sanemi's muscle contractions, blood flow, the arc of his swing. Even the opening and closing of every pore became crystal clear. Mark, activated. Transparent world, protoform open. Try touching them again. Clang. Sanemi's killing strike stopped dead. A brand new blade smashed violently into the side of his sword. The sheer hatred behind it sending his Nichirin blade flying from his hand. What? Sanemi's grip tore open. Before he could react, a body slammed into his chest. Inosuke threw his sword aside. Like a street thug, like a madman. He tackled Sanemi to the ground, straddling him. Bam, A fist like forged iron smashed into Sanemi's scarred face. Trying to kill them. Bam, You really trying to kill them? Bam, Who the hell do you think you are? Inosuke abandoned all technique. This was raw, primal violence. Each punch sent blood spraying, teeth loosening. I've put up with you for a long time. He beat him while crying, spit and blood splattering Sanemi's face. From the moment we walked in, you were looking for trouble. You think we're easy targets. I didn't fight back because I gave you face. Because I thought you were good people. But why did you draw your blade? They're my brothers. They're idiots who gave up being human just to prove my innocence. What more do you want from us? Inosuke grabbed Sanemi by the collar, yanked him up like a dead dog, and slammed him back down. Do you want me to tear out my heart and show you? Do you want my life? You take advantage and still act righteous. Who? So what if I was raised by Doma? Did I eat your rice? I fought on the Mugen train. I killed the upper rank. I saved your lives. All the suffering, all the beatings I took growing up in the everlasting paradise. They don't even compare to what I suffered here today. His roar echoed through the courtyard, every word soaked in blood and tears. The Hashira fell silent. They had never seen Inusuke like this. They had never seen Sanemi like this. I'm telling you, Demon Slayer bastards. Inusuke raised his blood-soaked fist. If Zenitsu and Tanjiro can't turn back, if something happens to them because of this cursed drug, you'd better remember this. Sanemi was dazed, but he was a man who had crawled out of piles of corpses. Humiliation ignited his rage. He kicked Inusuke away and staggered to his feet. Bastard! His face was drenched in blood, one eye swollen shut, looking terrifying. What nonsense are you spouting? Are you threatening me? You demon-raised freak! He reached for his fallen sword. He was going to fight again. Even if it killed him, he would never allow demons to run wild within the Demon Slayer core. That was his line. Paid for with his mother's death. Stop it! Brother! A heart-rending cry tore through the air. Genya, who had been firmly restrained by two Kakushi, somehow broke free. He rushed forward and dropped to his knees before Sanemi, clinging to his leg with both arms. Please, brother. Stop! Tears streamed down Genya's face, his voice shaking. You know that pain. You know it. He looked up at his violent, fiercely loving brother. At the scar Sanemi bore for protecting his family. When Mom turned into a demon, you killed her to protect me. And I misunderstood you and called you a murderer. You said it was justice, but I know how much that hurt you. The pain of being misunderstood by your own family, of being treated like a monster. You understand that better than anyone. Inusuke is the same. Genya pointed at Inusuke, who was ready to throw himself back into the fight. He's protecting everyone too. If he were evil, why would he give so much? Why are we treating him like this? Why are we becoming the same people who judge without seeing the truth? Brother, weren't we supposed to wield our blades to protect? If we kill even those who want to protect us, then what's the difference between us and demons? Sanemi's grip on his sword froze. He looked at his sobbing brother. At Inusuke covered in blood and tears. At Tanjiro and Zenitsu who had turned into demons for their brother's sake. The most painful memories of his life flooded back. Himself covered in blood. His brother pointing at him and calling him a murderer. *clang. The Nichirin blade slipped from his hand and fell to the ground. Sanemi stood there, unmoving. 2 lines of tears mixed with blood streamed down his face. The courtyard filled with sobs. Mitsuri Kanroji crouched down, covering her face. It's too cruel. These 3, it's just too cruel. What are we even doing? Gyomei Himejima clasped his hands, tears pouring endlessly. Nam. Amida. Butsu. Rengoku tilted his head back, refusing to let his tears fall. Tokito Muichiro stared at Inusuke. At the boy who had helped him recover his memories. His heart twisting as if reliving the day he lost his brother. You people. The demonized Tanjiro breathed heavily, stepping in front of Inusuke. Is this proof enough? He pointed at the horn on his head, at the lightning around Zenitsu. Is turning ourselves into demons proof enough? Did we hurt anyone? Did we eat anyone? If all of this is denied just because of Inusuke's birth, because of a father he never chose. Tanjiro looked straight at the master, eyes blazing. Then how is the Demon Slayer core any different from Muzan? His hoarse voice shook the air. I, Kamado Tanjiro, joined the Demon Slayer Corps to kill demons and save people. Not to be interrogated like a criminal. I never received kindness from the Corps. My life was saved by Inusuke. My money came from Inusuke. My sister survived because Inusuke protected her. If this is what the Demon Slayer Corps is. Tanjiro tore off his black uniform and slammed it onto the ground. I quit! I quit too! Half-demon Zenitsu screamed through tears, black lightning crackling wildly. He was no longer a coward. At this moment, he was braver than anyone. What gives you the right to look down on us? Are you all blind to everything Inosuke has done? Zenitsu pointed at each Hashira, accusing them one by one. Who saved Yuzuru-san's wives? Who helped Obanai-san and Mitsuru-san get together? Who protected the swordsmiths and their village? Who here hasn't benefited from Inosuke? You take his help, then turn around and judge his birth. Do you have any shame? He roared. If this is the so-called Demon Slayer Corps, I'd rather be a useless nobody forever than sink into the same filth as you. The box on Tanjiro's back opened. Nezuko crawled out. Wearing the beautiful New Year kimono Doma had given her? She looked painfully out of place in this killing-filled courtyard. She ran to Tanjiro and Zenitsu, tiptoed to wipe their tears with her sleeves. Then ran over and hugged Inosuke tightly. MM. She turned around, spread her small arms wide. Standing in front of the three boys like a chick protecting her brood. In the east, the sky began to pale. The first ray of sunlight was about to pierce the clouds. Inosuke jolted awake. Time was almost up. If sunlight hit them, demonized Tanjiro and Zenitsu would turn to ash. Idiots! Inosuke cried out. Both hands slammed against Tanjiro and Zenitsu's backs. Get in. Get into the shadows, now. Like herding ducks, he roughly shoved the two demonized boys, along with Nezuko, deep into the shade. He stood there, gasping, facing the courtyard. His face was streaked with tears, utterly disheveled. But in his multicolored eyes burned a pride long unseen. The pride of the *** young lord of the everlasting paradise ***. Listen carefully. Half-demonification lasts 5 minutes. If after 5 minutes, they don't turn back. Inosuke slowly drew the ancient blade Kotetsu had given him. The tip rested on the ground, cold light reflecting across his face. Then I want nothing. No ending. No future. No Demon Slayer Corps. To hell with all of it. He raised his head, blade sweeping across every face. Remember this well. The one standing before you is first the young lord of the everlasting paradise. And only then, the Demon Slayer, Hashibira Inosuke. Seconds crawled by. Each one felt endless. All eyes locked onto the shadows. Shinobu's hands trembled. Rengoku held his breath. The master's fingers dug into the floor. Finally. 2 dull thuds sounded from the darkness. Then Zenitsu's familiar whimper? W-wa. I feel so hollow, am I gonna die? And Tanjiro's weak voice. I'm back, the horn's gone. Perhaps because of Inosuke's relentless supervision of Hinokami Kagura. Perhaps because Tamayo miscalculated the usage limit. They endured. A miracle happened. Enough. The long-silent Ubuyashiki Kagaya suddenly clapped his hands. The sound echoed clearly through the deathly quiet courtyard. His face was soaked in tears, yet he smiled in relief. This is enough. Inosuke. Tanjiro. Zenitsu. You used your lives to prove your loyalty. No words could be stronger than this. The master extended his hand toward Inosuke, his tone sincere, almost humble. The Demon Slayer Corps welcomes you. From this day forth, no one will ever doubt you again. You are the pride of the Demon Slayer Corps. But, facing the master's outstretched hand, facing the Hashira's apologetic gazes, Inosuke did not move. He simply looked at them, eyes empty with a calm deeper than despair. He turned to Shinobu, the sister he had once admired so much. "I'm sorry," Inosuke said softly. "I will atone for my father's sins, to you. No matter the method, even if it costs my life. I will atone." Shinobu's heart clenched violently. She opened her mouth to speak. But Inosuke had already looked away. He raised his gaze to the master, the godlike figure who ruled over everything. "I proved my loyalty," Inosuke said calmly. So calm it was terrifying. "But the Demon Slayer Corps cannot prove its loyalty." He reached into his robes and pulled out a large handful of heavy gold ingots. Clatter. With a flick of his arm, the glittering ingots rained down onto the sand. "This is the pay you gave the three of us. Our blood money. I'm returning it. The extra, consider it compensation for the Nichiren blades I broke." Then, clang. Clang, Inosuke kicked aside the two brand new Nichiren blades forged by Haganezuka. They hadn't even been engraved yet. "I don't want these blades either. As an ice hashira without the words "Destroy Evil" engraved. I truly don't deserve to remain in the Demon Slayer Corps." Tanjiro and Zenitsu, human again but terribly weak, supported each other as they walked out. They saw the gold scattered across the ground. They saw the blades lying there. They asked nothing. They simply removed their own Nichiren swords and placed them beside Inosuke's. "Let's go, big bro." Zenitsu wiped his tears. His legs trembled, but his eyes were resolute. "Yeah. Let's go home," Tanjiro said, hoisting his box and gripping Inosuke's hand. "I realized something." Inosuke looked at the swords, a self-mocking smile tugging at his lips. "That perfect ending doesn't have to rely on you." He turned to Rengoku, Giyu, Urokodaki, and Muichiro, the ones who had been willing to die for him. He bowed deeply. "Big brother Rengoku. Brother Giyu. Master Urokodaki. Muichiro. It was an honor to fight alongside you. Inosuke, my boy." Rengoku shouted, tears bursting free. "Inosuke?" Muichiro reached out, trying to grasp something. Shinobu rushed forward, clutching a corner of Inosuke's clothes. Tears streamed down her face. She knew that once he left, she might never see him again. But Inosuke did not turn back. Rip. The sound of fabric tearing. He tore the cloth free, leaving it in Shinobu's hand. "Goodbye." The three boys walked toward the rising sun in the east, stepping over scattered gold, and left the gates of the Demon Slayer Corps behind. Deep in the mountain valley, sunlight bathed the solitary grave. There lay Yorichi's beloved wife, along with a century-old gentleness. A Kashagi crow, a golden ring on its foot, stood silently atop the tombstone. It looked toward the rising sun, then down at the empty patch of earth. It did not move. It was waiting for that flower, and waiting for its master. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 93, each with their own burdens. 1,786 words. Sunlight pierced through the clouds, pouring down without restraint onto the ravaged courtyard. The gold ingots reflected a blinding glare under the sun. Those two brand new Nichiren blades lay alone in the dust, their edges reflecting the faces of the Hashira. They were gone. All that remained was wreckage strewn across the ground, and a silence as dead as a grave. Cough, cough. Ubuyashiki Kagaya covered his mouth. Blood seeped through his fingers. 2 lines of clear tears slid down his face, carved through by the curse marks, dripping onto the tatami. "Master!" Amain hurriedly supported him, her voice full of worry. "I never wanted it to end like this." The master's voice trembled. "That child was a good child." I could feel his sincerity. "But Amain." He lifted his head. Those blind eyes were filled with pain. "I am the master of the Demon Slayer Corps. Every decision I make carries the lives of hundreds of swordsmen on its back. And the future of countless civilians who have yet to be killed by demons. When faced with a variable that could destroy everything, I cannot gamble. For the sake of more lives, even the slightest possibility, I cannot ignore it. Great love. Great sorrow." With his own hands, he pushed away a child who only wanted to embrace them. "Wah!" A heart-rending cry shattered the suffocating silence. Kanroji Mitsuri collapsed to her knees, covering her face as her whole body trembled with sobs. Why did it have to turn out like this? Inosuke-kun and the others. He worked so hard in the swordsmith village. They were injured so badly just to protect us. We completely broke their hearts, woo. Images flashed through her mind, the boys swinging their blades. That smiling face saying her hair looked cool. Iguro Obanai stood silently behind her, one hand resting on her shoulder. He wanted to comfort her, but it felt as though cotton stuffed his throat, he couldn't say a word. His gaze fell on the gold ingot scattered across the ground. So Inosuke had never been short on money from the very beginning. That so-called debt was just an excuse for that kid to get closer to him. And now, he'd been driven away. Rengoku Kyojuro tilted his head back, staring fixedly at the clear blue sky. Inosuke boy. Kamado boy. Agatsuma boy. He repeated their names over and over. Scalding tears streamed down his cheeks, soaking his collar. I didn't even get the chance to say it. His voice broke. I didn't get to tell you myself. That I wanted to take you as my Tsuguko. I wanted to watch you grow into a Hashirei who surpass me. As an older brother. I failed you. Yuzui Tengen leaned against a wall, head lowered, staring at the reflection of his flamboyant headband on the ground. Silence. A silence as heavy as death. He remembered how that boy, gravely injured, had foolishly delivered his wives right into his arms. This really is the least flamboyant ending. Tokito Muichiro stood in a corner, hand in his pocket, fumbling for a long time. He pulled out a piece of Kanpeito. He gently placed it into his mouth. The sweetness spread across his tongue, stinging his eyes red. If only. Muichiro murmured. If back then I had agreed to be your lackey, would everything have turned out differently? Kocho Shinobu stood frozen in place, her body swaying. The fake smile she always wore had completely collapsed. She stared blankly at the torn piece of fabric in her hand. Tears slipped down soundlessly, dripping onto the cloth. Did I do the wrong thing? She asked herself. Maybe she hadn't been wrong. Guarding against demons was instinct for the Demon Slayer Corps. But the sharp pain tearing through her heart told her otherwise. She was wrong, terribly wrong. She had let her hatred for Doma spill over onto a child desperately trying to redeem himself. Inosuke-kun. Shinobu covered her mouth, letting out a shattered sob. I'm sorry. Tomio Kageyu hadn't spoken a word. He had been quietly watching the direction those 3 boys left. He had watched them grow up. He was the one who recommended Tanjiro and Inosuke to Urokodaki. He had watched that proud young master slowly grow into a warm-hearted swordsman. What kind of person Inosuke was, no one knew better than him. Sharp-tongued. Reckless. And yet, whenever he looked at Inosuke and Tanjiro, he was reminded of Sabito, and of his former self. A fury he hadn't felt in countless years erupted within Gyu's long-dormant heart. He slowly turned his head toward Shinazugawa Sanemi. Sanemi was staring blankly at the Nichirin blade on the ground. Whoosh! Giyu strode forward, wind whipping up around him. Bang! A punch, thrown with all his strength, smashed straight into Sanemi's face. Sanemi staggered back several steps. Why you? He clutched his cheek, staring at the usually taciturn Water Hashire in shock. Tomioka, what the hell are you doing? Why? Giyu's voice was quiet. Why did you do that? Sanemi froze. I did it for the Demon Slayer Corps. Are you talking to me right now? Giyu cut him off, stepping closer and grabbing his collar. Did you want them to suffer the same pain you did? Boom! Those words exploded in Sanemi's ears like thunder. The same pain. Being misunderstood by the only brother he had, living in hell branded as a murderer. Just now, he had nearly turned Tanjiro and Zenitsu into the second and third victims. What did you say? You bastard! Sanemi's eyes reddened as he instinctively tried to strike back. Stop it! Brother! Genya burst forward in tears, throwing himself around Sanemi's waist, clinging tightly. Stop, please stop. Namu Amida Butsu. A massive hand reached out, pressing down on both Giyu's and Sanemi's shoulders. Himejima Gyome was already weeping openly. Enough! The Stone Hashira's voice was hoarse. That pain of being wrongfully judged, how could I not understand it too? Crying, Gyome forced the two furious men apart. We were wrong. We swung our blades at the ones who wanted to protect us the most. The Demon Slayer Corps plunged into an icy silence. After a long while, Gyome released them. Giyu adjusted his disheveled hari. He looked at Sanemi, his gaze cold, like he was looking at a stranger. Shinazugawa. Turning his back on everyone, Giyu spoke flatly. I am not worthy to serve alongside you. With that, he began walking toward the gate as well. Sanemi stood there, stunned. He looked at Giyu's departing back, at the wreckage on the ground, at Genya clinging to his leg and sobbing. Ah! Sanemi suddenly clutched his head, letting out a beast-like roar. Come back! All of you, come back! You bastards! Curse me! Hit me! Why are you leaving? He collapsed to his knees, pounding the ground with his fists. He knew he was wrong. The moment his brother knelt down, the moment he heard Giyu's words, he truly knew he was wrong. But it was too late. They had lost something more precious than life itself. On the mountain road, the rising sun stretched the shadows of the three boys long and thin. Inosuke walked at the front. His clothes were torn and ragged from the earlier struggle. The heavily modified uniform on his body was stained with dirt and blood. He stopped. He didn't look back at that place filled with memories, not even once. Expressionless, Inosuke reached into his chest and pulled out two folding fans. He snapped them open. They glittered brilliantly in the sunlight. Then, rip! He grabbed the uniform on his body and tore it off. Buttons flew. Fabric ripped apart. Like tossing away a filthy rag, he flung it behind him. The discarded uniform hit the ground, kicking up dust. Beneath the shredded core uniform was a red shirt. The matching parent-child outfit that his smug idiot of a father had forced on him. He had been wearing it all along. He was no longer a wrong demon slayer. He was the young lord of the Eternal Paradise cult. Inosuke? Tanjiro and Zenitsu watched him. Their hearts ached, but somehow, they felt this was the real Inosuke. Big bro. Zenitsu wiped his swollen eyes and asked carefully. Where are we going now? Inosuke flicked his fan, his tone calm. Back to the Eternal Paradise cult. It's cold there, but it's my home. At least there, no one asks whether I'm human or demon. Tanjiro stepped forward and took Inosuke's hand. Worry filled his eyes. After hesitating for a long time, he finally asked, Inosuke-kun, do you hate them? Inosuke halted. He didn't answer. Hate? How could he not? Having your sincerity crushed underfoot. It hurt more than broken ribs. But Inosuke closed his eyes. Images surfaced in his mind, Rengoku kneeling to vouch for him. Giyu kneeling and offering seppuku. Muichiro's piece of Kenpeito. After a long while, 2 silent tears slid down his cheeks. No. His voice was soft. I am the young lord of the Eternal Paradise cult. My birth itself was an original sin. Back then, everyone had their reasons. Whether Shinobu hated me, or the Wind Hashare wanted to kill me, from their standpoint, none of them were wrong. He turned to his 2 worried brothers and forced a smile uglier than crying. This is the price. The moment I chose this path, I was destined to bear all of it. He lifted his head, staring into the blinding sun. No matter the process, no matter how much grievance I suffer, as long as the final ending is good, that's enough. That's enough. Those words shattered Tanjiro and Zenitsu's restraint. Wah! Zenitsu finally broke, throwing himself into Inosuke's arms. Big bro. Are you an idiot? Why are you so damn understanding? Hate them. Curse them. Why do you carry everything alone? Tanjiro hugged him too, tears soaking Inosuke's shoulder. Inosuke-kun, we believe you. Even if the whole world doesn't, we believe you. Wherever you go, we'll go. Back to the Eternal Paradise cult, or even to hell. As long as you're there, as long as the 3 of us are together. Anywhere is fine. Feeling their warmth, feeling that unconditional trust. Inosuke's unyielding pride finally softened. Woo! He tore away the last of his composure, hugging the 2 idiots tightly. You 2, damn idiots. Who told you to turn into demons? Who told you to follow me? Let's go home, we're going home. Under the rising sun. The 3 boys clung to each other and cried their hearts out. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. Patreon.com/Canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 94, Grit Your Teeth and Hold On. 1,672 words. The sound of crying echoed through the empty mountains. Ding! A cold, mechanical voice, long absent, sounded once more in Inosuke's mind. System has detected that the host's actions have caused a major deviation from the original storyline. Congratulations, host, on obtaining the hidden achievement, the bright future I can't see, the winding road I can't finish walking. Congratulations, host, on obtaining the unique title, Beautiful, Strong, and Tragic times the villain's destiny. Title bonus, none. System message, since you have chosen your own path, grit your teeth, and keep walking it. Inosuke's sobbing came to an abrupt stop. He sniffed, dazed, listening to the voice in his head. Can't see the bright future, can't finish the winding road. Beautiful, strong, and tragic? The villain's destiny. Heh! Inosuke suddenly laughed. What a load of crap. If you want to comfort me, just say so, why bother giving me some stupid title? He was already used to this unreliable system. Inosuke reached up and wiped his face hard. If the Demon Slayer Corps couldn't accept him, then fine, he wouldn't stay. Get up. Stop crying. Inosuke stood and grabbed Tanjiro and Zenitsu, yanking them up from the ground, one in each hand. All you ever do is cry. You're embarrassing the hell out of me. His mouth was harsh, but his hands were gentle, brushing the dirt from Tanjiro's knees, straightening Zenitsu's crooked collar. Let's go. Back to the Eternal Paradise cult. There's good food there, new clothes, and people who treat us like treasures. Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Tomioka Gyu was gone. Everyone else remained locked in deathly silence. Only Shinazugawa Sanemi still stood in the courtyard. His face was smeared with blood, fists clenched, body trembling, whether from rage or from a fear he couldn't put into words, even he didn't know. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw Genya still kneeling on the ground. Seeing the little brother he had tried so desperately to drive away, to protect, witnessing his most humiliating moment. A nameless, vicious fire mixed with shame surged straight to Sanemi's head. Hey! Sanemi strode over and grabbed Genya by the collar, hauling him up. What are you doing here? Who told you to come? Genya flinched, tears still streaming. Be brother. I came to report my mission. Report a mission? Sanemi roared. Who told you to come? Who let you see this? Get lost. Why are you still here? Trying to make a mess like those three bastards did. Maybe it was the humiliation from moments ago. Maybe he truly didn't want his brother dragged into this mire. Sanemi chose the cruelest way to push away the only family he had left. Get out! Don't ever show your face in front of me again. He raised his hand, about to strike again. Genya froze. He looked at his brother's ferocious face, his heart splitting apart. So, you still won't forgive me? Brother, do you really hate me that much? Smack! A sharp slap rang out. Rengoku Kyojuro's hand knocked Sanemi's arm aside. Enough! The usually warm, boisterous Rengoku was furious. He stood in front of Genya, staring Sanemi down. How much longer are you going to keep acting like this? You already drove Inosuke and the others away. Now you're trying to push your own little brother away too. Do you only feel satisfied after you've driven away everyone who wants to get close to you? Everyone who cares about you? Sanemi froze. The other Hashira all looked over. Only Kanroji Mitsuri turned her head away, she couldn't bear to look at him. Those gazes. Enough. Disperse. Ibuyashiki Kagaya's exhausted voice sounded. Supported by his wife, he turned toward the inner chambers. Everything that happened today is my responsibility. I will find a way to make amends to Tomioka and to Inosuke and those children. But for now, let everyone calm down. The master left. One by one, the Hashira departed. Only Sanemi remained, standing alone in the courtyard. Rengoku sighed and patted Genya's shoulder. Come on. I'll walk you out. Genya kept looking back, step after step, at that lonely figure in the courtyard, until, finally, he followed Rengoku away, crying. The vast courtyard was left with only Shinazugawa Sanemi. The wind swept through, stirring dust from the ground. The wounds on his face burned, but not nearly as much as the pain in his heart. Sanemi stood there blankly, staring at his calloused hands. Did I do something wrong? I did it for the Demon Slayer Corps. I did it to kill demons. That kid was raised by a demon. I drew my blade, was that wrong? Why? Why did Gyu hit me? Why did Genya cry and beg me? Why does it feel like everyone's disappointed? Sanemi's legs gave out. He dropped to his knees. He remembered the look in Inosuke's eyes when that boy had pinned him down and beaten him. He remembered Tanjiro and Zenitsu. Those two idiots who, without hesitation, plunged syringes into their own necks just to prove Inosuke's innocence. That kind of trust. Sanemi covered his face, a sob escaping. When he drew his blade, beneath the rage, was there also a trace of jealousy? Jealousy that Inosuke had so many people willing to die for him. Jealousy of that pure, unwavering bond. And he himself had personally pushed his only brother farther and farther away. Kani. Tsunemi whispered the name in agony. That gentle woman. Kani had died at the hands of upper rank too. The moment he learned that Inosuke was Doma's adopted son, his reason completely shattered. Just like Shinobu, he had vented his hatred for the murderer onto an innocent child. Did I destroy everything? Was it my impulsiveness that drove them away? Woo! In the empty courtyard, he finally broke. Curled up on the ground, clutching his head, he cried under the sunlight like a child who had lost everything. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Those belated apologies scattered into the wind, never reaching that boy again. Perhaps no one was truly wrong. Because of their positions. Because of hatred. Just as Inosuke had said. Everyone had their own burdens. Eternal Paradise Cult. Here, everything was steeped in warm, bustling activity. Many days had passed since Doma and Kotoha's great breakdown. Now, Doma wanted to live every single day like a festival. Hey, be careful! That one's expensive. Inside the main hall, wooden crates of all sizes were stacked everywhere. Doma bustled about like a nouveau riche, directing the followers as they carried things in. This was the Taisho era. Western goods had just begun flowing into Japan, rare and costly. But who was Doma? Unlike Akaza, he had never worried about money. I hear human children love these novel little things. Holding a long shopping list, Doma cheerfully checked items off. Inosuke and the others really liked their New Year's gifts last time. I should prepare more. And this is for Inosuke and them. He pointed at a black suit and leather shoes. My son and his idiot friends will look absolutely handsome in these. And this is for Kotoha-chan. A brand new gramophone, along with stacks of vinyl records. Kotoha-chan loves singing, she can even learn foreign songs with this. And these are for Daki and Gyutaro. Several crates of top-grade French red wine and glittering diamond necklaces. Girls should be raised lavishly. As for Big Brother, I hear red wine's good for the skin. And for Lord Akaza? Doma took out a pair of boxing gloves. I heard Westerners fight with these. I don't think they're very useful, but at least that idiot can be fashionable. Finally, Doma's gaze fell on Kaigaku's hands. There lay a delicate pocket watch. Lord Cult Leader, where should this go? Kaigaku, helping carry boxes, stared at the pile of goods and swallowed hard. Doma turned, smiling brightly. On your own hand. That's yours. I bought that pocket watch especially for you. Very stylish. You should thank Inosuke properly. He specifically told me you've been performing well lately. Kaigaku froze. Holding the box, his eyes instantly reddened. Thank you. Young lord? Lord Cult Leader? He lowered his head, voice thick with emotion. Oh, right. The most important thing. Doma clapped excitedly. Several followers wheeled in a few brand new bicycles. Ta-da! Bicycles. Inosuke's definitely never played with these. We can all ride together. I'll carry Kotoha-chan. Inosuke can take those two brats. Imagining the whole family cycling together, Doma laughed like a child. Kotoha stood to the side, looking at the room full of foreign goods, at her busy, foolish husband. She walked over, gently linking her arm through his, resting her head on his shoulder. Lord Doma. If you buy this much, Inosuke will scold you for wasting money. It's fine if he scolds me. Doma nuzzled her hair, his eyes impossibly gentle. As long as he comes back, as long as he can be happy, what does money matter? Daki and Gyutaro crowded around the goods, poking this and examining that. Wow! Brother, look! This gramophone spins. My, that one doesn't look edible. Suddenly. Bang! A loud crash. The gate, always under repair, always breaking again, was kicked open. 3 ragged boys stood at the entrance. Inusuke was at the front. Tear tracks streaked his face. The hall fell instantly silent. Doma's shopping list slipped from his hand. Kotoha covered her mouth. Daki jumped. Kaigaku nearly dropped the box on his foot. The next second. Inusuke! Everyone moved at once. Doma spread his arms wide. Kotoha lifted her skirts and ran. Daki lashed out her sashes. Even Kaigaku took several steps forward. Standing amid the dazzling foreign goods, they smiled at the 3 battered children at the door. The brightest, warmest smiles in the world. Welcome home. Inusuke's tears burst free again. He didn't wipe them away. He grinned, an uglier smile than crying. Yeah. I'm home. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 95, as if an old friend has returned. 2053 words. The gramophone continued to play the foreign song Doma had mentioned. Gift boxes piled up like small mountains. Brand new bicycles gleamed brilliantly. Everything felt warm. But the moment everyone clearly saw how battered and disheveled Inusuke and the others looked. Silence. A deathly, absolute silence. Inusuke? Kotoha froze for a split second, then stumbled forward and rushed to her child. How did you end up like this? What happened? Her hands trembled. She wanted to touch Inusuke's face, yet was afraid of hurting him. Didn't you tell Mom you were going back to the Demon Slayer Corps? Didn't you say, everyone there missed you very much? Then why are you back covered in injuries again? Did someone bully you? It's only been a few days, only a few days. Kotoha broke down. Her whole body shook as she cried, large tears falling onto Inusuke's dirt-covered hands. Where's your uniform? Where's your sword? Were they taken from you? My Inusuke, does it hurt? Looking at his mother crying uncontrollably, Inusuke sniffed and forced an ugly smile, awkwardly reaching up to wipe her tears. It's fine, Mom. I just fell while walking. Fell. A gentle voice, one that concealed boundless killing intent, rose above Inusuke's head. At some point, Doma was already standing in front of them. The benevolent smile had completely vanished from his face. Those 7-colored, glass-like eyes churned with bottomless frost. His gaze fixed on Inusuke's empty waist. On the vanished uniforms of the 3 boys. Inusuke. Doma's voice was soft, soft like a lover's whisper. Tell Dad. Who did this? Inusuke's heart skipped. Instinctively, he tried to block Doma's line of sight, shielding Tanjiro and Zenitsu behind him. Dad, don't worry about it. This was my own business, just sparring between men. Getting a little hurt is normal. Crack! The temperature in the hall plummeted. The bottle of red wine meant for Gyutaro exploded on the table. Sparring. Doma didn't look at Inusuke. Instead, he stared past him, locking onto the trembling Zenitsu and Tanjiro. Zenitsu-kun. Tanjiro-kun. You are Inusuke's closest friends. You wouldn't lie to me, would you? Tell me, what did the Demon Slayer Corps do to my son? Zenitsu's teeth chattered uncontrollably. He had never seen Doma this terrifying. Tanjiro was also crushed by the pressure, barely able to breathe, but he still clenched his teeth. Mr. Doma, we just quit. We chose to leave on our own. Quit? Doma let out a cold laugh. You were thrown out, weren't you? That single sentence tore away all pretenses. Inosuke's body stiffened. Doma slowly crouched down and gently brushed a finger over the bruise on Inosuke's cheek, the one Shinazugawa Sanemi had left. His fingers were shaking. He was furious beyond measure. Was it because of me? Doma asked softly. Because you are my child, so those people threw you away like garbage. Is that it? Inosuke said nothing. He only lowered his head. Boom! A terrifying killing intent erupted from Doma, shooting straight into the sky. Heh! He! Doma stood up. His laughter was sharp and piercing, like it came from hell itself. Do they all want to die? I sent my precious son over there to play. I endured hunger and refrained from eating humans. And this is how they repay me. A few worthless lives. Even if that so-called Ubuyashiki family were wiped out entirely, it wouldn't equal even a fraction of the grievance my Inosuke suffered. Ungrateful trash. If they don't want to live, then they don't have to. With a violent motion, Doma flicked his wrist. 2 golden folding fans appeared in his hands. I'm going to. ZZZRT. Darky screamed. Veins bulged across her face, her beautiful features twisted with rage. Those bitches. Those ungrateful bitches. She rushed to Inosuke's side. Seeing his injuries, her eyes burnt with tears of fury. My brother and I have behaved ourselves. We hid here and didn't eat people, went hungry if we had to. Also we wouldn't cause trouble for Inosuke. And this is what they do. They dared to hit him. Gyutaro slowly crawled out. His emaciated body radiated a horrifying, bloody aura, the blood sickles in his hands carving deep marks into the floor. Unforgivable. I'm so angry, so very angry. The killing intent of 3 upper moons converged. This was no longer mere favoritism. They had touched their absolute reverse scale. Stop! A choked shout rang out. Inosuke suddenly rushed forward, throwing his arms wide and clinging tightly to Doma on the brink of rampage, while grabbing Darky with one hand. Don't! Please, all of you! He buried his head into Doma's icy chest. This was my own choice. I threw the sword away myself. I've already cut ties with them, completely. I returned the money. I abandoned the blades. I have nothing to do with the Demon Slayer Corps anymore. Inosuke lifted his head, his heterochromatic eyes filled with pleading. Dad! I already feel terrible enough. His voice trembled, his body shaking. I won't be a Demon Slayer anymore. I'll stay here, in the Eternal Paradise cult. I'll be the young lord, the crown prince. I'll stay with you all. I won't go anywhere. Doma lowered his head, looking at the boy in his arms. At the tear tracks not yet dry in his eyes. At the way he begged desperately to protect the people who had hurt him. It was the most humble plea a child could make. After a long time, the killing intent in the hall receded like a tide. Doma took a deep breath, tossed the fans aside, and hugged Inosuke tightly in return. All right. We'll listen to Inosuke. As long as you don't leave, as long as you stay here. His voice was hoarse. He rested his chin atop Inosuke's head, eyes dark and unreadable. Then Dad will agree to anything. As long as you stay by my side. All right, all right. Enough crying. Doma suddenly changed expression, forcing a bright smile as he clapped his hands. Look! What's this? Ta-da! He gestured to the room full of foreign goods like presenting treasures. These are surprises Dad prepared for you. Look at this suit, Inosuke will look amazing in it. And these shoes. And this, bicycles. Tanjiro-kun, Zenitsu-kun, you've never seen these before, right? Kaigaku. Don't just stand there. Put on your pocket watch. Doma forcibly dragged the atmosphere back. He held the suit up against Inosuke, shoved red wine into Gyutaro's hands, and hung a diamond necklace around Darky's neck. Come on, try them all. Tonight we're eating Western food. Drinking red wine. We're celebrating the return of Prince Inosuke. Kotoha wiped away her tears and forced a smile as she went to the kitchen to prepare food. The gramophone played on, as if the near eruption of slaughter moments ago had been nothing but an illusion. Yet beneath this warm facade, everyone knew something had already shattered beyond repair. Night fell. The exhausted boys sank into deep sleep. Kotoha took Inosuke's filthy clothes to the backyard to wash them. But in the grand hall of the Eternal Paradise cult, 3 demons still remained. Doma sat upon the high cult leader's throne, slowly swirling a goblet of blood-red wine. Darky and Gyutaro sat in the shadows below, their gazes dark and venomous. Lord Doma. Darky finally couldn't hold back. She played with the diamond necklace at her throat, her voice thick with resentment. Are we really just letting this go? They bullied Inosuke that badly, I saw it clearly. Those weren't sparring injuries. I can't stand it. As long as we don't tell Inosuke, we can go secretly. Even killing a couple of Hashirei to vent our anger would be fine. Gyutaro ground his teeth, producing a grating sound. Yeah, being looked down on like that. It makes my blood boil. I want to rip their guts out. Doma remained silent. He stared at the moon reflected in his wine. In his mind echoed the words Inosuke had once cried drunkenly to Tanjiro. The former flower Hashirei died by my dad's hand. I'm a piece of trash, right? I want to atone. I want to repay what I owe. Heh! Doma let out a soft chuckle. Consider it settled. What? Darky froze. Doma set the wine down. That child, Inosuke, has always felt indebted to the Demon Slayer Corps. Because I killed someone's sister. So for years, he saved people obsessively, got injured over and over. Like a fool trying to atone for sins he thought were his. His fingers lightly tapped the armrest. But today, the Demon Slayer Corps cast him out. They trampled his sincerity and denied everything he had done. So, the scales are balanced now. His tone was utterly calm. To me, those meaningless lives were never important. Inosuke is what matters most. He's done enough. He's suffered enough today. From this moment on, Inosuke owes them nothing. Those lives, that so-called redemption, all void. Then, we're not killing them? Darky asked unwillingly. Not yet. Doma shook his head. Killing them now would only make Inosuke unhappy. He just came home. He's still hurting. We need to let him feel that home is joyful. And besides... Doma narrowed his eyes. Let those idiots cling to life in regret. Losing Inosuke is already the greatest punishment they could receive. But... Doma's tone suddenly turned cold. If they dare disturb us again. If they dare step onto my territory, or attempt to hurt Inosuke again. Then no one will be spared. No matter how Inosuke begs, I won't show mercy again. Demon Slayer Corps Headquarters. Late night. Candles flickered inside Ubuyashiki Kagaya's residence. The master's illness seemed to have worsened after the day's turmoil. Still no sign of him. His voice carried deep exhaustion. Sitting in the shadows, Urokodaki Sakonji replied in an aged, hoarse voice. No. Giyu hasn't told anyone. Even his Kajigai crow can't find him. Urokodaki sighed, clenching his calloused hands. Inosuke's departure may have hit him very hard. Mount Fujikasane. The final selection grounds of the Demon Slayer Corps. The birthplace of countless young swordsmen's dreams, and the graveyard of countless young lives. Though it wasn't selection season, the mountain was still steeped in wisteria fragrance. But tonight, that scent was mixed with heavy blood. Slash! A demon lurking in the darkness was decapitated before it could even scream. Tomioka Giyu stood amid scattered demon corpses. His hari was soaked in blood. His deep blue eyes were empty, as though his soul had left his body. Unconsciously, he had come here. He walked to a massive boulder at the mountain's peak and slowly sat down. From here, the entirety of Mount Fujikasane was visible. Wisteria petals drifted down like purple rain. I messed up again, Giyu murmured, staring at his Nichiren blade. Sabito. Sister. It feels like I can never keep the people around me. I always make things worse. He remembered Inosuke's back as the boy walked away. That youth who had once protected Tanjiro like Sabito once had. Forced away. If I had died back then. If Sabito had lived. Would Inosuke have been kept by Sabito? Would everything have turned out differently? Giyu muttered to himself. Then. You idiot, Giyu. A crisp yet helpless voice rang out amid the falling wisteria. Giyu snapped his head up, pupils shrinking violently. Who's there? At the edge of his vision. Beneath a wisteria tree bursting with cascading purple blossoms. A figure wearing a fox mask, clad in a hari with the same pattern as the half he wore, sat quietly on a branch, legs swinging. Giyu's hand gripping his sword trembled. The figure gently removed the mask. A dazzling, familiar smile was revealed. Even though those two strange kids made me feel oddly relieved. Like even without me, you blockhead could still live properly. The figure drifted down and stood before Giyu, raising a hand as if to knock his head, only to pass straight through. But still. Not being able to see you. Seeing you end up like this. I just couldn't leave completely. Sabito. The wind stopped. Petals froze mid-air. And only that long overdue reunion remained. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 96, Overture. 1871 words. Mount Fujikasane. Moonlight washed the land clean. Purple wisteria petals fell like an endless rain, drifting down without cease. Tomioka Giyu stared blankly at the fox-masked boy standing before him. His hands trembled. He wanted to reach out, to touch him, yet feared this was nothing more than a hallucination. Sabito. Giyu's voice was shattered beyond repair. Is it really you? Am I dreaming? The boy opposite him chuckled softly. His flesh-colored, medium-length hair looked especially gentle beneath the moonlight. He stood there just as he had back then, unchanged, unrotted, frozen in time. Idiot. Sabito sighed. You've grown taller. You've gotten stronger. But? Sabito raised his hand. Though he couldn't touch anything, he still made the motion of flicking Giyu hard on the forehead. Why are you still such a crybaby? Giyu instinctively covered his forehead. It didn't hurt, but that familiar feeling of being scolded instantly shattered the shell he'd built over years. His tears burst forth without warning. He knelt among the wisteria petals, tears falling together with the purple rain. I'm sorry. Sabito. I'm sorry. Giyu clutched the dirt, his sobs suppressed and despairing. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to be a Hashira. Back at the final selection, I didn't kill a single demon. You saved me. You saved everyone. You should have lived. You should have become the water Hashira. And now. I messed things up again. Giyu looked up at Sabito, his face soaked with tears. Inosuke, that child who's as brave as you were, who wants to protect everyone just like you. He was forced away. I forced him away. I was too useless. Do they all? Hate me? Who gave you permission to say that? Are you stupid? Sabito's smile vanished, his gaze turning sharp. That disappointed, frustrated look made Giyu freeze mid-cry. Giyu! Sabito shouted, his voice echoing through the valley. Why do you think I died? Why do you think my sister hid you away? We entrusted the future to you, or not so you could drown in self-pity. The title of Water Hashare was earned by you killing countless demons over these years. It was bought with your blood. Sabito crouched down, bringing himself level with Giyu's eyes. His gaze softened again, filled with the warmth reserved only for a closest friend. No one hates you, Giyu. Except you yourself, no one hates you. As for that child, Inosuke. I saw him. Sabito tapped his own chest. I saw hope in him. His departure wasn't your fault. The road he chose was always harder than most. If you feel guilty. Sabito smiled gently. Then live on, with our share as well. Live until your hair turns white. Live until you're surrounded by children and grandchildren. Live until this world no longer has demons. That is the best memorial you could ever give us. As Sabito's words fell. From behind the wisteria trees, translucent figures slowly emerged. Makomo. And the senior disciples who had died at the hands of the hand demon. They wore warding masks and hari of various styles. Giyu, do your best. Makomo waved with a smile. Don't cry, be a man. We're always watching you. Live well, for us too. Countless gentle voices merged into a warm current, wrapping around Giyu's already tattered soul. The sky full of wisteria petals felt like an embrace. Everyone. Giyu's vision blurred once more. I understand now. He stood up, his spine slowly straightening. Sabito, thank you. Sabito smiled. His body began to break apart into countless points of light, drifting into the night sky along with the petals. Go, Giyu. Go and witness it. I believe that child named Inosuke will create a miracle. This time, I really have to go. Goodbye, my dearest friend. The wind stilled. Tomioka Giyu stood atop the mountain, his hari fluttering gently. Eternal Paradise Cult. This was the highest class tea room within the cult. Doma, dressed in his red and white leader's robes, lounged lazily against a soft couch. Opposite him sat Tanjiro and Zenitsu, now changed into Western suits. The atmosphere was calm. Does the tea suit your taste? Doma asked with a smile, his seven-colored eyes reflecting the two boys. Thank you, Mr. Doma. Tanjiro sat upright. Zenitsu, meanwhile, shrank slightly beside him. Now then, you two little ones. Doma leaned forward, his lazy demeanor disappearing. I want to ask you something. He pointed to his own eyes. I am a demon. A man-eating monster. An unforgivable upper rank in the Demon Slayer Corps eyes. Inosuke is my child. I am his father. Now that Inosuke has been driven out, he will become the young lord here. But what about you? A playful smile curved his lips. Do you truly not care that I'm a demon? Are you really willing to abandon the justice of the Demon Slayer Corps and follow Inosuke forever, spending your lives here in the Eternal Paradise Cult? The question was sharp. The room fell silent for several seconds. Tanjiro set down his teacup. He lifted his head. In his dark red eyes, there was no hesitation, no evasion. Mr. Doma. I do not judge your past, nor do I care about your identity. Because I myself have a sister who is a demon. Tanjiro glanced out the window at the snowy scenery, as if recalling memories. These past years, I've carried Nezuko with me and endured countless cold stares and rejection. I understand very well the pain of being denied for an identity you never chose. Inosuke understood me. He protected me. He gave Nezuko and me dignity. Tanjiro turned back to face Doma directly. In the Demon Slayer Corps, I was an outcast who traveled with a demon. But beside Inosuke, here, in the Eternal Paradise cult, I smelled home. You treat Aunt Kotoha well. You treat Inosuke well. You even treat Zenitsu and me well. That feeling can't be faked. If not for Inosuke. Tanjiro's eyes reddened. I might have died on some mission long ago, or worse, died together with my family. He changed my life. He taught me that endings can be rewritten. So, what I owe him can never be repaid in this lifetime. Even if it's hell, I will follow him. Doma froze for a moment. The playfulness in his eyes faded, replaced by genuine appreciation. What a truly moving speech. He then looked toward the boy shrinking beside Tanjiro. And you? Crybaby blonde. Zenitsu sniffed. His body still trembled out of habit, but he suddenly lifted his head, eyes brighter than ever. Me too. I used to be trash. A complete waste. Zenitsu's voice trembled with tears. I only knew how to run, how to cry. I got tricked out of money, scolded by Grandpa. If I hadn't met Big Brother Inosuke, I'd probably be dead in some ditch by now, or turned into a bitter, useless wreck. Zenitsu thought of Kaigaku. Big Brother didn't just save me. He saved Grandpa. He saved Senior Brother. He forcibly twisted that horrible future back onto a different path. I don't care if you're a demon. Zenitsu shouted. Anyway, I think you're way better than those hypocritical Hashira. At least your kindness is real. As long as Big Brother doesn't kick me out. I'm staying here. I'll be his lackey for life. Looking at the two boys. One gentle and resolute, the other timid yet utterly sincere. Doma fell silent for a moment. Then he burst into laughter. Hava hava. Good. Excellent. That brat Inosuke really does have my taste. Picking up two treasures like you. Doma stood up and spread his arms. In that case, as the leader of the Eternal Paradise cult, I formally invite you. Stay. Not as guests, but as Inosuke's left and right hands, as members of the cult. This Eternal Paradise will belong to you as well. Tanjiro and Zenitsu exchanged a glance. They stood up together and bowed deeply to Doma. Yes, cult leader. In a hall, changing room. Inosuke stood quietly before the mirror. Though the bruises on his body had been treated by Kotoha, the exhaustion in his eyes could not be erased. Huh? Inosuke took a deep breath. Kotoha, eyes still red, held an exquisitely elaborate set of robes. They were his cult leader's attire. Inosuke? Her voice trembled. I'm fine, Mom. Inosuke took the clothes and put them on piece by piece. Lotus flowers and auspicious clouds were embroidered across the robes. A wide black belt cinched his waist, from which hung the symbolic pair of folding fans. He was no longer the child who merely imitated his father in handling cult affairs. At this moment, he was Hashibira Inosuke, the sole heir of the Eternal Paradise cult. The true divine child. Let's go. He turned to Tanjiro and Zenitsu, who were also dressed in cult attire, and spoke softly. Tanjiro wore a black and red long robe, a new blade at his waist, solemn yet gentle as ever. Zenitsu wore a platinum white hari. Though still adjusting his collar, his gaze no longer wavered. The three walked side by side toward the doors leading to the main hall. Over 100 believers had already gathered inside. Daki, Gyutaro, and Kaigaku stood on either side of the raised platform. Doma sat upon the main seat above. Creak! The door slowly opened. Moonlight spilled in from behind, stretching the shadows of the three boys long across the floor. Every gaze snapped toward the entrance. Inosuke took his first step. leather boots pressed into the expensive carpet. When I was little, I thought this place was just somewhere to eat and sleep. I feared my father's hypocrisy, despised the ignorance of the believers. I yearned for the outside world, for the blood and fire of the Demon Slayer Corps. Second step. Tanjiro and Zenitsu followed half a step behind him. But now, the Demon Slayer Corps doubts me. Muzan uses me. The so-called light cannot tolerate someone like me. The so-called darkness only wants to turn me into a tool for ambition. Third step. Fourth step. Fifth step. Final step. Inosuke stopped at the center of the hall. The believers dropped to their knees, eyes blazing with fanatic devotion. They didn't know what had happened. They only knew this was Lord Doma's son, their divine child. In that case, Inosuke lifted his head, looking at his father smiling down at him from the platform. Then within this corner of the world, I'll be my own god. Even if I don't know how long this peace will last. Even if tomorrow is the end of days. At least right now. This is my paradise. Inosuke stepped onto the platform. He stopped beside the seat prepared for the young lord. He turned. And slowly sat down, crossing one leg, his gaze imperious. Tanjiro and Zenitsu stood at his sides, hands resting on their sword hilts. In the shadows, Daki and Gyutaro smiled with satisfaction. Doma fanned himself with golden fans, the smile in his eyes nearly overflowing. At that moment, the atmosphere in the hall reached its peak. Welcome our young lord. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. Patreon.com/Canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 97, Two Sides of the Same Coin. 1921 words. Demon Slayer Corps Headquarters, Butterfly Mansion. Under the wisteria trellis in the courtyard, everything felt desolate. Once, this had been the noisiest place in the entire Demon Slayer Corps. There had always been a blonde boy screaming "I'm gonna die" at the top of his lungs. A gentle red-haired boy patiently telling everyone, "Please don't fight." And a foolish young lord who stole snacks wherever he went. But now, it was far too quiet. By the drying racks, Kanzaki Aoi stood holding a white bedsheet, frozen in the same position for a long time. The wind blew. The sheet billowed, as if someone were hiding behind it, playing a prank. Aoi called out instinctively. "Inosuke! Stop messing around. If you get it dirty again, I won't give you any food." But the sheet fell back down. There was no one behind it. Aoi froze. The bedsheet slipped from her hands and fell to the ground. She crouched down, covering her face, her shoulders shaking violently. "You idiots, leaving just like that, without even saying goodbye." On the corridor nearby, Tsuyuri Kanao sat quietly. In her hand was the coin she used to make decisions. Again and again, she tossed it into the air and caught it. Heads, they would come back. Tails, they wouldn't. Tails. Tails again. Kanao stared at the cold, unfeeling reverse side, her eyes empty. Kanao-ni-san? 3 small girls with round, worried eyes, Kyo, Sumi, and Noho, crept over timidly. They were holding a few candies in their hands, candies they normally couldn't bear to eat, saving them for Inosuke. When are Big Brother Inosuke and the others coming back? We really want to see him do tricks again. People say he's a bad person, but he secretly gave us allowance money. Would a bad person do that? Kanao opened her mouth. But no sound came out. She could only reach out and pull the 3 clueless children into her arms. Tears slid silently down her cheeks. Inside the infirmary, Kocho Shinobu was preparing medicine. Her face still wore that familiar, gentle smile. "Shinobu-sama, isn't this dosage a bit?" An attendant from the Kakushi spoke carefully. Shinobu's hand trembled. A drop of purple poison fell onto the table, instantly corroding a black hole into the surface. Sorry. She was still smiling, but the smile looked stiff, like a mask glued to her face. I was distracted. That night, the tide of emotion surged in from all directions. Shinobu curled up beneath her blanket, biting down hard on the corner. In the darkness, her mind replayed that day in the courtyard over and over, like a lantern reel. Inosuke's tear-streaked face. And those words, spoken again and again. I'm sorry. I'll atone for him. NGH. Her nails dug into her palms. Emotion flayed her alive. I pointed my blade at a child who desperately wanted to belong. I used my sister's death to stab a heart-seeking redemption. Sis! Shinobu whispered into the darkness. The guilt gnawed at her heart like a venomous snake. She could never forgive Doma. But she also could not forgive herself, the self who had pushed Inosuke away. Finally. One morning, when the first ray of sunlight shone into the butterfly mansion, Shinobu pushed open her door. The emptiness in her eyes was gone, replaced by an almost obsessive resolve. She went to the master's estate and submitted a written request. Master. This began because of me. The collapse of trust, I was one of those who pushed it. I'm going out. No matter the cost? I will bring them back. Late night, Eternal Paradise Cult. Inosuke had been handling cult affairs for many consecutive days. Here, absurd human dramas played out endlessly. Wearing the magnificent cult leader's robes, Inosuke sat atop the high platform. That handsome face was beginning to resemble his father's more and more. He lazily fanned himself. Below the platform, a small boy knelt. So filthy and ragged that at first glance, he looked more like a pile of rags than a human being. He was too thin, so thin his bones seemed ready to pierce his skin. The clothes on his body looked ancient, blackened with grime, reeking of sour rot. His knees pressed into the expensive carpet, leaving behind 2 dirty marks. His name was Shozaburo. He was 6 years old. Divine child. Cult leader? His forehead struck the floor with a dull thud. His voice was weak, he hadn't eaten properly in a very long time. Please, give me an answer. Inosuke looked at him. A ripple passed through his eyes. Go on, he said calmly. What do you want to ask? Shozaburo didn't lift his head. Still lying flat on the floor, he told his story in a numb tone, one that was all too common in this era. My mom was a courtesan. If you gave her a rice ball, or a few coins, anyone could take her away. The villagers called her a slut. They called me a bastard. I don't know who my dad is. Mom said she didn't know either. The hall was silent. Daki's fingers tightened slightly. Gyutaro's eyes darkened. Mom got sick, Shozaburo continued. She coughed blood. The blood was black. She said it was the dirty stuff from her heart coming out. She couldn't get out of bed anymore. She couldn't take clients. We had no food. I was hungry. Mom was hungry. She pulled the cotton out of the quilt and told me to chew it, said it was clouds. Inosuke's fingers clenched around the fan handle. Do you need money? He interrupted. I can give you money. Take it and save your mother. Shozaburo shook his head slowly, like his neck had rusted. No need. Mom is already dead. Dead? Zenitsu couldn't help blurting out. Didn't you say she was just coughing blood? Yeah. Dead. Shozaburo lifted his head. There were no tears on his dirt-smeared face. Someone in the village said Mom died from the medicine I gave her. But the village head said she went to the land of bliss. To save Mom, I went to beg the village head's son. Shozaburo pulled a filthy paper packet from his clothes. The village head's son said he was educated, said he had medicine from the big city. He said if I kowtowed 100 times, kowtowed until he was happy, he'd give me the medicine. I can't count, Shozaburo pointed to the scabbed wound on his forehead. So I just kept bowing, until I passed out. He kept his word. He threw the medicine on the ground and told me to take it to Mom. I was really happy. I thought Mom could be saved. I ran home, dissolved the medicine in water, and fed it to her. She drank it. She said it was a little bitter, but since it was from her son, it was sweet. And then, Shozaburo's eyes grew hollow. Then she started rolling on the floor, clawing at her throat, eyes wide open. She vomited so much blood, more than ever before. In less than half an hour, she stopped moving. The village head said the medicine was too effective. That Mom's sins were heavy, so her soul was taken away all at once, to the land of bliss to enjoy happiness. Everyone said, the eternal paradise cult was very efficacious. So I wanted to ask you. He kowtowed again, his forehead smashing heavily into the floor. My mom, did she really reach bliss? Was I a filial child? Inosuke didn't answer. He signaled Tanjiro with his eyes. Tanjiro walked down, took the paper packet, and only needed to smell it once, his face instantly turned pale. This is... His hands trembled. This is arsenic. In the Taisho era, such poison wasn't hard to obtain in the countryside. Daki covered her mouth, eyes filled with disbelief. Inosuke and Zenitsu fell silent. A vast, crushing sorrow blanketed the hall. A 6-year-old child, smashing his head bloody to save his mother. Only to be given poison and unknowingly kill her with his own hands. And those so-called people told him this was blessing. This was bliss. Shozaburo still looked at Inosuke, hope trembling in his eyes. Divine child. My mom, did she go to the land of bliss? Of course, Tilda. Doma's voice drifted out from the shadows behind Inosuke. He stepped forward, golden fan swaying. That compassionate smile, like a savior, descended. Your mother went to heaven. He walked to the edge of the platform, looking down at the child. She suffered all her life, and in the end drank the liberation medicine her son begged for. Such pure filial devotion. The gods were moved by you, so they took her to the eternal paradise, where there is no hunger, no sickness. Shozaburo's eyes lit up. Really? That's great. That's great. Mom is enjoying happiness. I'm not a bastard. I'm a filial child. Yes. Doma smiled and extended his hand. You're a good child. Since your mother has gone to heaven, would you like to stay in the cult? There's food here. Clothes. Your mother, watching from above, would be happy to see you living well. Shozaburo nodded frantically. I want to. I want to. Thank you, cult leader. Thank you, divine child. Inosuke watched it all. He didn't refute a single word. He only clenched his fists. She's in hell. A cold voice sounded from the entrance of the hall. Everyone froze. That familiar, suffocating pressure. The doors had opened at some point. Backlit by the light stood a man in a black suit. Kibutsuji Muzan. He didn't look at Doma. He didn't look at Inosuke. He walked straight toward the kneeling child. Muzan-sama. Doma tried to stop him, but one glance from Muzan froze him in place. Muzan stopped before Shozaburo. His gaze was like he was looking at trash. They're lying to you. Muzan's voice was clear and cruel, every word like a blade. Your mother didn't go to heaven. You poisoned her. That medicine was arsenic. When she drank it, her intestines rotted, blood poured from her 7 orifices, and she died in extreme agony. No. No. Shozaburo's pupils shrank violently. That's not true, it was medicine, it was to save her. You fed it to her with your own hands. Musen continued, savoring the destruction of a soul. Your foolish filial devotion became the final blade that killed your mother. The village head son was laughing at you. The whole village was laughing at you. You poisoned the woman who gave birth to you. Musen bent down, whispering near the child's ear, a faint smile curling his lips. A matricide, how could he ever go to heaven? Both of you belong in hell. Ah! Shozaburo let out a scream that no longer sounded human. Phut! He spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed. His eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling. The hall fell into dead silence. Only Musen's soft laughter echoed. Inosuke! Musen straightened, eyes narrowing as he stared at the boy on the platform. Inosuke stood up, his eyes bloodshot. What? Angry? Why are you angry? I came to see you. Shouldn't you feel honored? He smiled faintly. Care to explain? Why did you come back here? Don't tell me. Musen's crimson eyes met Inosuke's reddened gaze. You were kicked out. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 98, when you fear harming the rat, you dare not smash the jar. 1432 words. The air was suffocating. When the two locked eyes, everyone present felt an overwhelming pressure. Everyone except Darky. She was completely detached from the confrontation. Her gaze was fixed on the child lying on the ground. Her mind buzzed. Drank the poison? That mother, even at the moment of death, she was thanking her son. She suddenly remembered her own days as a human. That mother who despised her white hair and pale eyes. Who had cut her hair with scissors. Who had tried to strangle her. Who had loathed Gyutaro for being filthy. Who had ultimately tried to burn them both alive. Both were mothers. So why was the difference so great? Both were hell. So why? Brother. Darky's eyes were shot through with blood. Why? Heh. He. After a long silence, Inosuke laughed. He had anticipated this day long ago. Anticipated Musen's interrogation. He had prepared a flawless explanation. Now, he would strike back. Inosuke took a single step forward, pointing straight at Musen's nose, his voice suddenly rising. Explain what? Angry about what? Do you even understand what a plan is? Do you know what human hearts are? Dead silence. He was questioning Musen. Musen froze for a split second. Then his fury erupted like a volcanic blast. For 1,000 years, no one had ever dared speak to him like this. Insolent. Boom. A dull explosion. Red and white matter splattered everywhere. On the high platform, Doma's head exploded outright, bursting into a cloud of blood mist and shattered bone. And who do you think you're talking to? Musen retracted his flesh tendrils, his gaze cold and venomous. Inosuke, don't think that just because I once trusted you, you can forget who you are. Say one more useless word. And I can't guarantee whose head explodes next. Looking at his headless father, the last thread of reason in Inosuke's eyes snapped. He didn't retreat. Like a true madman, he leapt straight down from the high platform. Charging directly at Musen. Tanjiro and Zenitsu followed immediately behind him. Inosuke grabbed Musen's hand, the one still smeared with brain matter, and slammed it hard against his own crown. Come on. Inosuke roared. Blow it up. Blow me up too. I fought like hell out there. Got beaten like a sandbag by those pillars. I ground my pride into the dirt. I got betrayed by everyone. For who? Who? For your damn ambitions. I finally get a lead on that damn flower. And now you think I'm pathetic. You think I'm embarrassing. You want to kill my whole family. Do it. Kill me. Then you go fight that blind bastard Ubuyashiki yourself. Muzan's hand stiffened. He sensed Inosuke's condition. Those unhealed injuries were real. And the information leaking from Inosuke's words hooked straight into his fatal weakness. That damn flower. Muzan's pupils shrank violently. His killing intent instantly twisted into suspicion and greed. What do you mean? You're talking about the blue spider lily. Inosuke violently flung Muzan's hand away. You think I got chased out like a stray dog for no reason? He let out a cold laugh. Because Ubuyashiki Kagaya, that blind bastard, knows where the blue spider lily is. Boom! Muzan's mind exploded. 1,000 years. 1,000 years. Finally he'd heard it. Where is it? Tell me. Muzan grabbed Inosuke's shoulders in agitation. What's the rush? Inosuke slapped his hands away in disgust. That's the Ubuyashiki family's highest secret. You can't force it out of him. He'd rather self-destruct and die with the secret. That's why I staged this whole thing. Inosuke pointed at his own wounds, his gaze dark and vicious. I deliberately exposed flaws. Deliberately made them suspicious. Deliberately let them beat me, curse me, humiliate me. I wanted them to feel irredeemable guilt toward me. When they realize they wronged a hero. When that blind man can't sleep at night from remorse. He'll give up the secret to compensate me. Do you get it? Inosuke jabbed Muzan's chest, harder each time. I was baiting the line for a big fish. I was gambling my life for your future. And you? You really disappoint me. Muzan was stunned. But the more he listened, the brighter his eyes grew. The more it made sense. Yes. That old fox Ubuyashiki would definitely hide it deeply. Only a poisonous, heart-crushing strategy like Inosuke's could force it out. So that beating was for me? Being driven out, part of the plan. Ha 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 ha. Muzan suddenly burst into manic laughter. Good. 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 I misunderstood you. That useless Doma's head exploded? So what? It'll grow back anyway. The misunderstanding was cleared? No. The fury in Inosuke's heart did not subside at all. He looked at Shozaburo on the ground. At the mess of brain matter everywhere. A sorrow and rage from the depths of his soul pushed him to something even more insane. He was certain now, Muzan dared not kill him. What are you laughing at? Inosuke slowly reached back and drew Tanjiro's blade from his waist. What are you doing? Muzan frowned. Inosuke held the sword and advanced step by step. That pressure. That certainty. Even the Demon King took half a step back. Inosuke spoke slowly. You were laughing pretty happily just now. He pointed at Shozaburo's corpse. Watching a child fall into despair. Watching a sincere heart get crushed. You found that fun, didn't you? He stopped. His gaze turned hollow, deep. In that instant, his figure overlapped with that red-haired swordsman from 400 years ago. He spoke. Each word struck Muzan's fragile nerves like a hammer. What's so funny? Where's the fun in it? You? What do you take life for? Buzz. Muzan's pupils shrank to pinpoints. Cold sweat soaked his back instantly. That line. That tone. That gaze. Yorichi Tsugikuni. The nightmare who had cut him into 1,800 pieces. Why? Why was it appearing in Inosuke? You. Muzan pointed at Inosuke, his finger trembling. So you think life is worthless? You think we're all just your toys? Inusuke didn't notice Muzan's fear. He was only venting his rage. He suddenly pressed the Nichirin blade to his own throat. SHHK. The blade cut skin. Blood fell. Fine. If you think life means nothing. If you're so eager to kill my whole family. Then I'll die right now for you. I'll take your blue spider lily secrets. Your ambitions. And drag them straight to hell with me. Stop. Madman. You lunatic. Clap. Muzan's flesh tendril snapped out instantly, knocking the blade away from Inusuke's neck. He roared, hysterical, panicked. For a human, you'd kill yourself. Who gave you the right to threaten me? I'm not doing it for him. Inusuke stared at Muzan coldly, his eyes filled with death-bound resolve. I'm doing it to tell you. Don't provoke me. There's nothing I wouldn't do. Muzan panted heavily, glaring at Inusuke. He wanted to kill him. To tear this insolent brat apart. But he didn't dare. The blue spider lily. Your reach is shadow. Inusuke's madness. All of it made him hesitate, fear harming the rat and breaking the jar. The humiliation nearly drove him insane. He needed to vent. He needed to prove he was still king. Muzan's gaze fell on Shozaburo's corpse. You value life, do you? You think life is precious? Fine. I'll give it to you. I'll give him eternal, perfect life. Just like your father's. Muzan seized Shozaburo's body. Phut! His pale hand plunged violently into the child's thin neck. A massive amount of blood, enough to burst an ordinary demon, was injected straight in. Wake up! Shozaburo's body convulsed violently. Bones cracked as they grew. His skin turned bluish-gray, his frail body swelling instantly. Those eyes that had died in despair flew open. Vertical pupils. Etched within them, two blood-red characters. Lower Moon times 6. Heaven. Hell. Poison. Shozaburo muttered the 3 words repeatedly, his voice shrill with resentment. His obsession was too deep. So deep that he endured Muzan's blood. So deep that he became one of the 12 Kozuki. Muzan pulled Shozaburo into his arms and looked at Inusuke, a smile curling at his lips. A provocation. See? This is life. Cheap. And everywhere. He leaned close to Shozaburo's ear, but those crimson eyes never left Inusuke. Remember today. Hell is far away from you. Following me. That is true paradise. Zing! The sound of a biwa rang out. Muzan and Shozaburo vanished from the hall together. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 99, The Pre. 2043 words. At last, the oppressive presence left behind by Muzan completely dissipated. Hast ha ha ha. That idiot. Inusuke collapsed onto the carpet of the grand hall, utterly unconcerned with the wound on his neck that was still seeping blood. Both hands braced against the floor, he burst into hysterical laughter. The laughter echoed through the vast, empty hall. Blood trickled down his neck, soaking into the collar of the gorgeous high priest's robe like a crimson spider lily blooming in snow. Below the platform, Tanjiro and Zenitsu stared, dumbfounded. For a brief instant, that laughing boy, those eyes gleaming with madness, overlapped perfectly with the image of his father. Too similar. Not just in appearance, but in that bone-deep, mocking disdain for everything. Squish! Squish! Accompanied by the wet sound of flesh writhing, Doma's head finally finished regenerating. He didn't even bother wiping the blood from his face. Instead, he rushed forward and pulled Inusuke tightly into his arms. Oh my, oh my. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Doma hugged Inusuke hard, rainbow-colored eyes blazing with an excitement never seen before. Inusuke! Did you see that? That high and mighty Lord Muzan, that stone-faced boss of mine, he actually ran away because of you. You made him choke on it. You actually scared that coward. He cupped Inusuke's face, his gaze slipping past his shoulder toward the hall's entrance, the place where Muzan had vanished. The gentle smile on his face instantly sharpened into something venomous, like a snake guarding its prey. That's another debt added to the ledger, Tilda. But in his arms, Inusuke's laughter abruptly stopped. Dad. His voice was soft, so light it was almost carried away by the air. The smile faded from his face, replaced by a sorrow and exhaustion far beyond his years. What was I laughing about, just now? Inusuke stared at his own hands. These past few days, sitting up there, watching those believers kneel and cry. Some sell their sons and daughters for money. Some eat their own children just to survive. Some have mountains of wealth and still aren't satisfied. And then there are people like Shozaburo, who, in the name of filial piety, became their mother's killer. He lifted his head. His heterochromatic eyes reflected Doma's beautiful face. Hey! Dad! I think I kind of understand the old you now. This world is so rotten, living is so painful. Isn't it possible that letting them die without pain, letting them end their miserable lives inside a beautiful dream, is also a kind of a merciful salvation? This was the first time Inusuke had ever voiced such a thought. And it was exactly the creed Doma had preached for centuries. Doma froze. Looking at the hollow-eyed child before him, he seemed to see himself from hundreds of years ago. Back when he was still human, seated high above, listening to people's ignorance and suffering, and finally concluding that death itself was salvation. But now... Smack! Doma suddenly reached out and flicked Inusuke on the forehead, not hard, not soft. Stupid kid, he scolded, though his tone was full of affection. That way of thinking, yeah, your dad used to believe it was right. I thought humans were pitiful and foolish, that living was nothing but suffering, so I freed them, ate them, and let them live forever with me. He reached out and gently touched the wound on Inusuke's neck, using his blood demon art to stop the bleeding. The icy sensation made Inusuke shrink his neck instinctively. But, you know. Doma's voice softened. Ever since I had Kotoha, and you little troublemaker, I realized I was wrong. Sure, living is hard. Sure, tragedies like Shozaburo's exist. But look, Kotoha's tempura is delicious, right? You risking your life for your friends looks pretty cool, right? And when our family is together, bickering and laughing, that's happiness, isn't it? He looked straight into Inusuke's eyes. If you die, there's nothing left. No tempura. No hugs. No tears. That empty paradise, Dad's had more than enough of it. As long as you live, your own paradise will eventually appear. Even if Dad doesn't know what the correct answer really is. Doma smiled brightly. Let's go look for it together. Whether it's hell or heaven. As long as we're together as a family, we'll find something better than death. Inusuke looked at him. At that moment, there was no trace of a demon's cruelty, only a clumsy father trying his best to teach his child how to love life. TCH. Inusuke turned his head away, eyes burning. Not far off, in the shadows. Daki watched the warm scene, suddenly deflating like a punctured balloon. A hollow ache surged up in her chest. Wara! She suddenly turned and buried her face in Gyutaro's withered chest, crying loudly. What's wrong, Yume? Gyutaro asked awkwardly, scythe still raised. It's nothing. She sounded like a wronged little girl. Brother, why is everyone else slowly getting better? I want that too. I want that warmth. I want that kind of life. Gyutaro fell silent. He reached out with his black-spotted hands and gently patted her head. You'll have it, Yume. He looked toward Inosuke's family, a glimmer of hope flashing in his eyes. Since we chose this place. Since Inosuke calls us family. Then we will be happy too. Hundreds of kilometers away from the Paradise Cult, in a certain town. Bright sunshine. Bustling streets. A man wearing a flame-patterned hari was energetically carrying out his patrol. Delicious. Inosuke and the others really should try this. Rengoku Kyojuro sat at a roadside soba stall, bowl in hand. His booming voice startled the passers-by, who turned to stare, but Rengoku didn't care. He finished the noodles in a few gulps, slammed the bowl down, and pulled out several crudely drawn portraits. Boss! Still shouting at full volume, he shoved the drawings into the vendor's face. The noodles were excellent. But I have a more important question. Have you seen these three boys? The vendor stared at the drawings, for circles with two eyes and a mouth. Sir, is this some kind of talisman? Not a talisman. Rengoku declared righteously. A very handsome boy. A red-haired boy. And a blonde boy who cries all the time. Have you seen them? The vendor trembled. No. I haven't. That's unfortunate. Rengoku immediately packed up the drawings, left the money, and strode off. Then I'll ask the next place. Thus, a strange legend was born in this peaceful town. A loud, flame-cloaked swordsman who asked everyone he met. He popped out of the bushes while a young couple was kissing by the river. Pardon me. You seem very affectionate. But may I ask if you've seen these boys? The couple nearly fell into the water. He even knocked on the door of a public restroom. Good sir, inside. Though you seem busy. Might you recall seeing these children? An enraged shout came from within, get lost. Though his behavior was absurd and he was rejected time and again, Rengoku Kyojuro's smile never faded, and the fire in his eyes never went out. Night fell. At the Paradise Cult. Moonlight filtered through the leaves. Kotoha sat beneath the corridor, needle and thread in hand, sewing a new outfit for Nezuko. Nezuko sat obediently beside her, eyes curved into crescents, holding fabric up to compare. Nearby, Daki was helping too. Though a courtesan, needlework was not her strong suit. She fumbled clumsily, trying to sew a jeweled flower onto a sleeve, pricking her fingers again and again. Oh! Daki angrily threw the needle aside. This stupid cloth is impossible to work with. Miss Yume, don't be so irritable, Kotoha said gently, setting her work down and smiling as she pulled Daki closer. Here, I'll show you, like this, gently pass it through. She guided Daki's hands patiently. Her hands were warm and soft, carrying the reassuring scent of soapberries. Daki froze. She stared at Kotoha from so close, those eyes as gentle as spring water. Every time Kotoha held her hands, she lost focus. Aside from her brother, no one had ever held her hands like this. That unfamiliar, almost maternal warmth, combined with the recent emotional turmoil, made the upper rank 6 eyes suddenly redden. What's wrong, Miss Yume? Kotoha noticed at once and softly set the needle aside. Is something troubling you? If you don't mind, you can tell me. Daki bit her lip, head lowered, like a child who'd done something wrong. Kotoha. Auntie. I envy you all. Inosuke was hurt, driven back here, but he has you. He has Lord Doma. But my brother and I. Her voice trembled. I keep thinking about the past. That filthy, stinking riverbank at Rashomon. That mother who always beat me. That samurai who tried to burn me alive. I feel like I don't belong here. Like I don't deserve this warmth. Kotoha listened, eyes filled with compassion. She didn't lecture. She simply reached out and gently but firmly pulled Darky into a hug. Silly child. She stroked Darky's beautiful silver hair. There's no such thing as deserving or not. If you want it, this is your home. Are you afraid? Kotoha asked softly. Afraid of the place that hurt you so badly? Afraid of Yoshiwara? Darky stiffened. That place was her nightmare. Her stage of fame. The source of all her tragedy. Yeah. Maybe. Even though I was an Oiran there, even though no one dared touch me, I still hated it. Hated the smell. Kotoha released her and looked into her eyes. Those gentle eyes now shone with a strange resolve. Then, let's go there. She smiled and made a shocking proposal. Let's go to Yoshiwara. Who? Darky's eyes widened. Go there? Why? To face it. Kotoha gently adjusted Darky's bangs. I want to go with you. I want you to see that you're no longer that helpless little girl. With me there. With everyone there. No one will hurt you again. Let's overwrite those bad memories with new, happy ones. Okay? MM. MMMM. Nezuko excitedly raised her hand, saying she wanted to go too. Darky stared blankly at Kotoha, then threw herself into her arms, tears soaking her clothes. Okay. I want to go too. I want you all to see how beautiful I was as an Oiran. The next day. When Kotoha told Doma her plan. Doma, who had been peeling grapes for Inosuke, dropped one straight to the floor. Who? Yoshiwara? He shook his head violently. No, absolutely not. Kotoha, it's too chaotic there. And so far away. What if you run into the Demon Slayer Corps? What if you meet bad people? And you're all women, going to a pleasure district. Doma, Kotoha interrupted, her gaze unwavering. I've decided. Miss Yume needs closure. And besides. She looked out the window. Since coming to the Paradise Cult, I don't think I've ever left this mountain. I want to see the outside world. I want to see the places where Inosuke once fought. Doma froze. He looked at her. For over a decade, he had protected Kotoha too well, like a canary in a gilded cage. He gave her luxury, gave her endless affection. But he had forgotten she was human. She yearned for freedom. A deep sense of guilt washed over him. Yes. As a husband, as a leader, he couldn't even walk with her under the sun. I understand. Doma sighed, his playful grin fading. Then, go. He turned to look at Darky and Gyutaro, who were peeking from behind the door. His gaze sharpened instantly, an unquestionable command from upper rank 2. Darky. Gyutaro. Listen carefully. This trip, your only mission is to protect Kotoha and Nezuko. If Kotoha loses even a single hair, or suffers even the slightest grievance, a terrifying chill radiated from him. You know what to do. Yes. The siblings snapped to attention and answered loudly. Not far away, leaning against a pillar and watching everything. Watching his mother pack, watching Darky's excitement, watching the old man's reluctant compromise. Inosuke's lips curled unconsciously into a smile. A smile from the heart. This is nice. This is what a family is supposed to be like. You can read all chapters ahead on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 100, what exactly are you trying to do? 1884 words. Under the moonlight. Kotoha set out with the Darky siblings and Nezuko. They left in a hurry. On the very first day after their departure. In the rear courtyard of the Eternal Paradise cult. The moonlight was as pure as washed silk. But for certain people, the world had already drained of all color, turning stark black and white. Sigh. A long, mournful sigh drifted out from deep within the main hall. Inusuke sat at his desk, red brush in hand, approving and rejecting believers' petitions. This one wants to get rich. If it were that easy, do you think my money grew on trees? I scraped it together one coin at a time, by scamming people. This one wants a son? Boys or girls, what's the difference? If you come back with that kind of thinking again, don't bother coming at all. Sigh. Another long sigh, this time accompanied by the rhythmic tap-tap of a fan hitting someone's palm. A vein twitched at Inusuke's temple. He finally snapped and looked up. Dad! Can you shut up for 1 minute? This young master is handling serious business here. You sigh once every minute, are you trying to sigh all my good fortune away? Doma was sprawled across the opposite side of the desk, chin resting on the tabletop. Those once brilliant rainbow eyes now looked dull, as if covered in ash. But? Inusuke? He blinked pitifully, drawing little circles on the desk with his finger. Kotoha-chan and the others? Have been gone for a full 12 hours already. I wonder if they've eaten, if they ran into bad people on the road. If Yume's bad temper caused trouble again. I miss Kotoha-chan. I miss hearing her sing. I miss brushing her hair. Inusuke's mouth twitched. My mom's only been gone 1 day. 1 day apart feels like 3 years. Doma cried dramatically. Round it up and that's basically several years already, Tilda. Over the next few days, Inusuke finally understood just how hard his mother's life had been. During meals. Inusuke had barely picked up a piece of tempura when Doma leaned over, face full of worry. I wonder if Kotoha-chan can find tempura this crispy out there. What if the oil outside isn't hygienic? Inusuke? In the bathroom. Inusuke had just squatted down when Doma's ghostly sigh drifted in from outside the door. Inusuke, do you think the toilets outside are dirty? Kotoha-chan loves cleanliness, will she be able to handle it? Inusuke? Even during training. While Inusuke was sparring with Tanjiro, Doma suddenly dropped from the sky and wedged himself between them, map in hand. Oh. I just checked, Yoshiwara seems colder than here. What if Kotoha-chan didn't bring enough clothes? What if she catches a cold? Tanjiro, Lord Doma, there's nowhere colder than the Eternal Paradise cult. Finally. On the 3rd day, when Inusuke was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. That's enough. He slammed the stack of documents to the floor, jumped onto the desk, and pointed straight at Doma's nose. What exactly are you trying to do, her? If you're that worried, then go after her yourself. Your legs are attached to your own body, what good does whining to me do? The hall fell deathly silent. Kaigaku, who had been mopping the floor, was so startled he dropped the rag. Doma froze, then his expression turned shy and awkward. He poked his fingers together, cheeks flushing a suspicious pink. Well, I do want to go. But? Kotoha-chan went to relax. If I follow her, won't she think I'm an overly controlling husband? What if she feels I'm haunting her and stops liking me? My image in her heart is that of a perfect, gentle, ideal husband, you know. Inusuke stared at him, dumbfounded. Are you really Doma? Did I leave for too long? Give me back my dad. He rubbed his forehead. Idiot. Who said you had to follow her openly? Can't you tail her secretly? Hide in the shadows. Solve their problems for them. Send umbrellas when it rains. Buy them food, but don't let them know it's you. Inusuke's eyes spun as he started scheming. Dad, think about it. When my mom runs into trouble, everything suddenly resolves itself. That feeling of silent protection. Isn't that romantic? That's the highest realm of being a perfect husband. Doma's eyes lit up instantly. Silent protection. Romance. Whoa. Inusuke, you're a genius. He grabbed Inusuke and kissed him hard on the cheek before being shoved away in disgust. This is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just as expected of my son, your emotional intelligence takes after me. Doma set Inusuke back down and solemnly patted his shoulder. Then I'll leave the cult to you, young lord. Your father is off to pursue romance. With that, Doma vanished from the hall, leaving only a window still swaying in the wind. Inusuke let out a long breath. Finally. Peace and quiet. He slumped back into his chair. Tanjiro and Zenitsu immediately crept over. Be boss. Lord Doma really left? Zenitsu asked in disbelief. Yeah, Inusuke waved a hand. He went chasing his wife. Then, Kaigaku poked his head out from a corner, asking cautiously, Young lord, what do we do now? Keep handling cult affairs. Inusuke glanced at the mountain of documents on the desk and grinned wickedly. Handle my ass. He stood up and waved grandly. Idiot senior disciple. Go, close the front gates. Put up a notice. Say the divine child and the cult leader have gone to the Pure Land to report for work. All cult affairs suspended for 3 days. Kaigaku, yes. Soon, only 3 boys remained in the hall. And an elderly man with graying hair, peeking from behind a pillar. Soto. He was an old hand of the cult, already meant to be retired. But after Inusuke returned, he had come back specially to help with cleaning, just to see the young lord he'd watched grow up. Grandpa Soto! Inusuke suddenly called out. The old man jumped and hurried forward, eyes cloudy but filled with excitement. Why, young lord, you still remember me? Of course I do. Inusuke walked over and stuffed a handful of gold pieces into his hand. Go buy something good to eat. You don't need to come in these next few days, go rest. Thank you, young lord. Soto wept openly, looking at the spirited young man before him. He saw the shadow of Lord Doma from years past. Yet this young lord had something more, genuine human warmth. The young lord has truly grown up. After sending everyone away, Inusuke pulled Tanjiro and Zenitsu into a corner conspiratorially. He stripped off the heavy ceremonial robes and changed into neat, practical clothes. Boss, what are we doing? Zenitsu asked nervously. Are we protecting Lord Doma too? Nope. Inusuke wagged a finger confidently and pulled out a letter. The envelope was red, faintly scented with cedar. Take a look. What do you think this is? Tanjiro leaned in and sniffed. This smell, it's familiar. Is it Mr. Akaza? Bingo. Inusuke snapped his fingers. Third uncle wrote to me. What? Tanjiro and Zenitsu gasped, then burst into excitement. That's under third uncle who beat them senseless, but taught them everything during special training. That super awkward idiot who vanished without a word. What did he say? Zenitsu demanded. Inusuke didn't open the letter. He tucked it close to his chest and smiled mysteriously. Heh? Secret. He slung his ancient blade over his back, eyes shining. Since the old man's chasing his wife, and my mom's off relaxing, we can't just sit around. Minions. Let's move out. We're going to find third uncle. In a remote hot spring town. Auntie! Have you seen these kids? Rengoku Kyojuro stood at a steamed bun stall, holding up his soul-level drawing, his voice loud enough to shake the street. The vendor nearly dropped her buns. Goodness! Young man, you're too loud. No, I haven't seen them. What kind of children look like this? Possessed by demons. No, they're very handsome. Rengoku said seriously. There's also a blonde boy who cries a lot, and a red-haired boy with a scar on his forehead. They're my unilaterally acknowledged foster sons. Isn't he the possessed one? The aunt muttered, handing him a bun. Eat this and go, don't block my stall. Delicious. Rengoku swallowed it in one bite, eyes sparkling. This bun is amazing. Your craftsmanship is superb. Since I ate your bun, I'll assume you haven't seen them. Farewell. He left behind enough money to buy an entire basket of buns and charged off again. Public bathhouse. Pardon me. Gentleman currently bathing. Though this is abrupt, may I show you this portrait? Pervert. Screams and splashing erupted inside. Though mistaken for a creep, though still without a single lead. Rengoku stood in the street at sunset, smile still blazing. It's fine. Even if I must search to the ends of the earth. I will find you. Inosuke, my boys, wait for me. On a mountain path leading north. Shinobu Kocho walked alone, a small bundle on her back. Her face was pale, eyes filled with exhaustion and anxiety. Eternal Paradise Cult. She stared at the map, brows tightly knit. That place was far too hidden. Inosuke had mentioned it before, but the exact route was known only to believers. Even within the Demon Slayer Core intelligence network, information on this cult was scarce. She had asked many people along the way. Most shook their heads at the name. Is it really impossible to find? She leaned against a tree, wiping sweat from her brow as helplessness washed over her. Just then, a kindly middle-aged woman with a bamboo basket passed by. Seeing Shinobu's troubled expression, she stopped. Oh my, young lady, the woman asked warmly. You look distressed, are you lost? Or is something troubling you? Shinobu paused, then forced a polite smile. Auntie, I'm looking for a place, called the Eternal Paradise Cult. Do you know it? The woman's expression changed instantly. A mix of sympathy, understanding, and faint reverence. Paradise Cult, huh? She sighed, setting down her basket, eyes growing gentle. What is it, child? Have you run into an obstacle you can't overcome? Is someone in your family gravely ill? Or have you lost someone dear? Shinobu's heart clenched. The woman patted her hand softly. Do you want to go to the Pure Land? Or ask that great cult leader if your loved one is doing well on the other side? Shinobu opened her mouth, and found she couldn't refute it. If that's the reason. The woman pointed toward a snow-capped mountain hidden in clouds. Then head that way. Keep going, until the snow is deepest. You'll see a vermilion gate. They say, the cult leader there can hear the voices of the dead. Whether it's true or not, for people living in pain like us. Having something to hope for is better than despair. The woman hoisted her basket and walked away. Shinobu stood alone, staring at the distant mountain. The wind stirred fallen leaves. She took a deep breath and clenched her fist. The voices of the dead? How ironic. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. Patreon.com/Cannon Sparkles bonus chapter goal Sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 101, Akaza's Letter. 1,757 words. At the mountain gate of the Eternal Paradise Cult. Morning sunlight spilled over the snow. 3 figures stood there with their packs on their backs. Just like every time they used to head out on a mission. Are you really not coming with us, senior brother? Zenitsu asked through a mouthful of rations, speaking indistinctly. Third uncle might have a nasty temper, but he's insanely good at teaching people how to fight. Didn't you always say you wanted to get stronger? Inside the gate, Kaigaku stood holding a broom. He turned his head away awkwardly, stubbornly refusing to meet their eyes. Shut up. Who cares about learning how to fight anyway? The cult leader and Lady Kotoha are gone, and now you three troublemakers are leaving too. If no one watches the place and a thief comes, what then? I'm thinking about the big picture. It's not like I'm scared to see third uncle or anything. Inosuke looked at this idiot of a senior brother gripping his broom for dear life. And the corners of his mouth curved into a satisfied smile. The old Kaigaku had been selfish and greedy, willing to do anything to grow stronger or stay alive. But the Kaigaku of now, still sharp-tongued, still awkward, had at least learned the meaning of responsibility. Not bad, idiot senior brother. Inosuke walked over and patted him on the shoulder. Looks like the feng shui of the Eternal Paradise cult really does nurture people. Since you're showing such awareness, this young lord has decided. He raised a thumbs up. You're promoted to Candidate Lackey No. 7 of this young lord. Who? Kaigaku froze, then exploded. What the hell is that? Who wants to be your lackey? And why number 7? What about No? 4, 5, and 6? Did you eat them or something? The smile on Inosuke's face stiffened. His hand was still resting on Kaigaku's shoulder. But his gaze dimmed in an instant. Number 4 was Muichiro, who always looked absent-minded yet had been willing to commit seppuku for him. Number 5 was Mitsuri, who cried easily but possessed the strongest heart. Number 6 was Kotetsu, sharp-tongued but willing to give him an ancient blade. They were all in the Demon Slayer Corps. In that place he could never go back to. Inosuke fell silent. Kaigaku froze too. Even with his terrible emotional intelligence, he sensed something was wrong. Hey! What's wrong with you? Did I say something stupid? Smack! Inosuke suddenly raised his hand and slapped Kaigaku hard on the forehead. Too much nonsense. Where'd all these Awais come from? Because there are no slots left, that's why. And since you just talk back to the young lord, candidate number 7 is cancelled. Back to probation. Say one more word and I'll have you cleaning the Paradise cult toilets. With that, Inosuke turned around and walked off without looking back. Let's go. Minions. Don't waste time on this idiot. Hey, wait for me, boss. Zenitsu hurried after him. Tanjiro smiled apologetically at Kaigaku. Sorry, senior brother. Inosuke, he just thought of some people. Some people? What? I'm not a person. Kaigaku rubbed his sore forehead, staring at their retreating backs in confusion. On the mountain path. The three of them walked side by side, just like every mission before. Only this time, there was no Kasugai crow urging them on. And no uniforms binding them. Boss, boss. Just let me see it. Zenitsu buzzed around Inosuke like a fly. What did third uncle write? A secret martial manual? A treasure map? No manual. No treasure. Inosuke clutched the letter to his chest, looking disgusted. It's a letter to the old man. Privacy, okay? Privacy. But I also want to know how Mr. Akaza is doing. Tanjiro leaned in earnestly. Please, Inosuke. Just read a little. TCH. Inosuke finally gave up under their combined assault. Fine, fine. I give. Listen carefully, only once. If either of you laughs, I'll throw you down the mountain. He cleared his throat and unfolded the cedar-scented letter. The handwriting was bold and forceful. Yet somehow awkward. To that idiot Doma. Cough. I don't really have anything special to say. Just letting you know I'm not dead. I went back to the place from my memories. It's already turned into ruins, but I used the travel money you gave me to buy it. I opened a martial arts hall. Haven't decided on a name yet. Doesn't matter, no one comes anyway. After all, I can only open at night. The people who come during the day are all stupid humans. But I believe true warriors won't care about business hours. One day, disciples will come. And how's that brat in a suit doing? Is he eating properly? Getting stronger? Not being bullied by bad people? If he dares to come back crying, tell him not to say he was taught by me. But if someone really does bully him, write and tell me. My fists have been itching lately. As for those two idiots, Tanjiro and Zenitsu, forget it. Too lazy to ask. Lastly, when my dojo officially opens, that day. Not that I care if you come or anything. But if you insist on bringing Lady Kotoha and Inosuke to make things lively, I won't kick you out. That's all. Akaza. By the time Inosuke finished reading, the three of them stood silently on the mountain path. Wara. Zenitsu suddenly burst into tears. Third uncle. So he actually cares about us? Even though he said he was too lazy to ask, he still mentioned us. Wara, I miss third uncle. I'm going to be his disciple. I'll help him recruit students. Tanjiro's eyes reddened too. He smiled and wiped at the corners. That's wonderful. Mr. Akaza has finally found his own place. A dojo that opens at night. That actually sounds really cool. Inosuke looked at the stiff, awkward handwriting on the page. And a gentle smile spread across his face. Yeah. That battle-crazed man who only cared about strength, finally learned how to live. He folded the letter carefully and tucked it back into his clothes. Let's go. We'll go give that no business, broken down dojo some support. Back at the Eternal Paradise cult, inside the main hall. After Inosuke and the others left, the vast palace felt empty. Only Kaigaku remained, spinning around with a broom like a top. TCH, who wants to be a lackey anyway? I'm going to be. He thought for a long time, but couldn't come up with a suitable title. Anyway, I'm definitely stronger than that useless junior who only knows how to cry. As he swept, he recalled scenes from the past few days. Zenitsu really did seem stronger now. He barely cried anymore. It must be the environment. Kaigaku stopped, looking around at the luxurious decorations. And the cult leader's throne that radiated cold air. Inosuke said it himself. This place is a cradle for the strong. If even that idiot junior can get stronger here, then I definitely can. He took a deep breath and gripped the broom handle tightly. Even without a Nichiren blade, he still assumed the starting stance he had practiced countless times. Total concentration, thunder breathing. First form, thunderclap and flash. Crackle. A faint but very real streak of golden electricity ran along his arm and into the broom. It lasted only an instant. A success. Kaigaku stared at his tingling palm, eyes bulging. I can use the first form. Ha 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 ha. He burst into ecstatic laughter. So it's true. Inosuke didn't lie to me. The Eternal Paradise cult really makes people stronger. There really are gods protecting this place. Of course. Everyone around here is a freakishly strong monster. I'm breathing the same air as them, how could I not get stronger? In that moment, Kaigaku completed his self-brainwashing. This is my home. And Lord Doma too. He looked at the empty throne, then glanced around to make sure no one was watching. Before dropping to his knees and kowtowing furiously. Long live the cult leader. Long live the young lord. I, Kaigaku, swear. In life I am a member of the Eternal Paradise cult. In death I will be its demon. At noon. Before the vermilion gates of the Eternal Paradise cult. A petite figure stood there, hesitating. Shinobu Kocho. She had finally found it. Following the directions of that woman, she crossed the snow mountain, walked along uninhabited paths, and at last stood before the legendary Paradise cult. This is where Inosuke grew up. This is the lair of the man who killed my sister. Shinobu's hand rested on the hilt of her Nichirin blade, her palm slick with sweat. She had rehearsed this countless times. If she met Doma, draw her blade immediately, or question him first. If she met Inosuke, should she apologize, or beg him to return? But, standing here now, the overwhelming guilt made it hard for her to breathe. More than half the reason Inosuke left the Demon Slayer Corps was her. Her suspicion had been the final straw. She took a deep breath, forcibly steadying herself. No matter what. I need to see him first. Summoning all the courage she had in her life, she raised her hand and gently knocked on the tightly shut gate. Knock. 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 The sound was soft, yet painfully clear in the silent valley. After a moment, the gate did not open. Instead, a small side window slid open, and a head poked out. A young man with long black hair, hostility between his brows. A Magatama necklace hanging at his neck. Kaigaku. He had just sworn to protect the Eternal Paradise cult, and was riding an intense, irritable high. And before leaving, Inosuke had given explicit orders. No visitors. Kaigaku frowned at the woman outside, pretty, vaguely familiar, and snapped impatiently. What are you knocking for? Can't you read the notice? The cult leader and divine child have gone to the Pure Land to report for work. No visitors these few days. Go back to wherever you came from. Knock again and I'll let the dogs loose on you. Bang! The little window slammed shut. Shinobu was left alone in the cold wind, staring at the unyielding gate, and at the crooked notice pasted on it. Reporting for work. No idle persons allowed. A complete mess in the wind. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 102, The Real Movement. 1,738 words. In front of the gates of the Eternal Paradise cult. This kid, why does he look kind of familiar? And that punchable tone, that impatient look, it's practically a carbon copy of Inosuke. Are all people from the Paradise cult this obnoxious? Or is there something wrong with the local environment? Shinobu Kocho took a deep breath, doing her best to maintain the flawless smile on her face. Her hand, however, had already slid to the hilt of her Nichirin blade. Little brother. Shinobu said gently, her voice sweet enough to drip water. I really do have something urgent to discuss with your cult leader, or with your young lord, Inosuke. Could you please help pass along a message? Pass along my ass. Kaigaku finally lost all patience. Creak. The main gate swung open. Kaigaku strutted out in a Western-style servant uniform, a Magatama necklace and a pocket watch hanging from his neck, swaggering without restraint. He sized Shinobu up and down, his gaze full of disdain, as if he were looking at an idiot. After staring for a while, he suddenly blurted out. What are you smiling for? Can't read. He pointed at the crooked notice on the gate, his face full of contempt. It's written clearly right there. Reporting for work. What, can't you understand words? The smile on Shinobu's face finally cracked. But just as Kaigaku's patience hit rock bottom, he froze. His eyes locked onto Shinobu's distinctive hari, and the slender Nichirin blade at her waist. Wait, this woman. Isn't she the insect Hashira from the Demon Slayer Corps? I've seen her before when I was leveling up. Thump. Kaigaku's heart skipped a beat. Even though he now considered himself a loyal retainer of the Paradise Cult, he still harbored an instinctive fear of the Hashira. Why did she find this place? How does she even dare to come here? The young lord just got kicked out of the Demon Slayer Corps after swallowing a mountain of humiliation. And now this woman shows up at our doorstep. Is she here to finish the job? Kaigaku clenched his fists, cold sweat breaking out. Thank God the cult leader went chasing his wife, and the young lord went to find third uncle. If they were home, someone would definitely die at the gate today. Ahum! Kaigaku's eyes darted, and his expression changed instantly. If I can't fight her, I'll bullshit her. After all, the young lord had made it very clear, no visitors. So, you're looking for the cult leader and the young lord, huh? Kaigaku crossed his arms, putting on an air of unfathomable mystery. Too bad. They've gone to the Pure Land to report for work. Shinobu frowned. The Pure Land? Where is that? Very, very far away. Kaigaku pointed to the sky, then to the ground, fully committed to his performance. That place has no map. Only those with a sincere heart can reach it. And this time, the cult leader went for the happiness of all humanity. For world peace. So this trip will take, at the very least, 3 to 5 years. Or maybe they'll never come back in this lifetime. He waved his hand dismissively, like shooing a fly. So yeah, big sis, you should just go home. And don't come back either. The Paradise Cult is under my management now, and I'm busy, no time to entertain you. 3 to 5 years? Shinobu raised a slender finger and pointed at the notice on the gate. Despite the ugly handwriting, the words were still legible. Reporting for work. Duration, 3 days. But doesn't it say right here that it's only for 3 days? Shinobu asked with a sweet smile, her eyes sharp as blades. What? Kaigaku blurted out in shock. You can read. Shinobu. This Paradise Cult really doesn't have a single normal person. Realizing he'd exposed himself, Kaigaku didn't panic at all. His skin was thick enough to tank it. He straightened his back and argued righteously. So what if you can read? Does that mean you can understand divine revelations? That's the Buddha of the Paradise Cult sense of time. 3 days in heaven equals 3 years on earth, got it? Besides, when have leaders' speeches ever been accurate? They say a 1-hour meeting and talk for half a day every time. The more he spoke, the more convinced he became. Bottom line. They're not here. Who knows when they'll be back? Go home. When the cult leader returns, I'll have him notify you. Without giving Shinobu a chance to respond. Bang! He slammed the gate shut. Then added 3 locks for good measure. Outside the gate, Shinobu looked at the tightly shut doors, then at the crooked notice. She wasn't angry. Instead, she calmed down. Through the cracks, she could vaguely see that the main hall inside was indeed empty. No sign of that man, nor of that boy. So, they really aren't here. HMPH. Shinobu let out a soft cold laugh. That's fine. I can wait. She turned and walked straight toward the only inn at the foot of the mountain. Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Though the weather had warmed, the courtyard was still swept by chilling winds. Ever since Inosuke and the other two left, the place had become eerily quiet. The laughter of the past was gone, replaced only by the dull sound of blades being swung. Sanemi Shinazugawa had just returned from a mission. He sat alone on a stone bench, staring blankly at the Nichirin blade in his hands. Bandages were still stuck to his face, remnants of the beating Inosuke had given him that day. The wound wasn't deep, but the knot in his heart refused to loosen. Yo! Isn't this the Wind Hashira? A slightly exaggerated voice rang out. Yuzui Tengen strode in with his twin blade slung over his shoulders, fresh from another mission, still carrying the scent of gunpowder. He glanced at the absent-minded Sanemi and raised an eyebrow. What, still beating yourself up over those brats? That look on your face. TSK, not flashy at all. Sanemi snapped back to reality and shot him a cold glance. Normally, he would have snapped back immediately. But this time, he looked at Tengen with confusion and accusation in his eyes. Yuzui. Sanemi's voice was hoarse. That day, everyone who'd ever benefited from Inosuke was pleading for him. Rengoku knelt for him. Giyu was ready to commit seppuku. Even that blockhead Muichiro stepped forward. Sanemi stood up and locked eyes with Tengen. Your 3 wives, weren't they saved by that kid? Sure, he's an asshole, but he saved their lives. Yet that day. Sanemi stepped closer, his tone pressing. Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you try to stop him from leaving? Are you just as cold-blooded a bastard as I am? Tengen froze. The playful smile vanished from his face. His expression darkened, becoming more serious than ever. Cold-blooded. He scoffed and leaned against a pillar. Sanemi, you think I didn't want to stop him? I'm grateful to that flashy kid too. If it weren't for him, Hinetsuru and the others would have been dead. Tengen paused, his eyes clouding. But some things were just too strange. Strange? Sanemi frowned. I heard the details of that day from my wives. Tengen said quietly. In the entertainment district, the one who kidnapped them wasn't that ugly thing we fought above ground. It was a female demon. A very powerful, very beautiful. You could even say flashy, female demon. His fingers tapped lightly against his blade. She captured them, but didn't eat them. She only locked them up. And then, when we found Inosuke fighting that ugly bastard to the death, that female demon vanished. Completely. Not a trace left behind. It was as if everything had been carefully arranged. Tengen looked up at Sanemi. I've replayed that battle countless times. I considered many possibilities, orders from Muzan, another upper rank. I never suspected Inosuke. But now, his Doma's adopted son. So that female demon, could she have been Doma's subordinate? Or Inosuke's accomplice? What if it was all an act? A stage suffering meant to win our trust. Tengen sighed, pain flashing in his eyes. I don't want to believe it. I really like that idiot kid. But until I figure out who that vanished female demon was, I can't vouch for him. That's why I stayed silent that day. Sanemi's pupils contracted sharply. A vanished female demon. Disappeared without a trace. Inosuke's identity. The words connected, and the chaotic guilt in his mind suddenly found a direction. So that's it? Sanemi's eyes lit up. That brat really wasn't that simple, huh? Not just saving people, there was something else going on behind the scenes. Sanemi stood up abruptly, stretching, his bones cracking loudly. All traces of dejection vanished. In that case. He looked at Tengen. Let's go to Yoshiwara. To the entertainment district. Let's find that vanished female demon. If we can uncover her connection to Inosuke, everything will be clear. But Tengen shook his head. No. I'm not going. I don't want to dig any deeper into this. Deep down, I still hope that boy is a good person. Digging through old wounds to find rot, that's just not flashy. He patted Sanemi on the shoulder and turned away. You go investigate on your own. If you find something, don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. Watching Tengen's retreating back, Sanemi snorted. Coward. He turned and strode toward the master's estate. If you won't go, I will. No matter what the truth is. I'll dig it out myself. The master's estate. After hearing Sanemi's report, Ubuyashiki Kagaya frowned deeply, his blind eyes clouded. A vanished female demon. He murmured. That is indeed a major point of suspicion. If Inosuke truly had ties to that demon, then the nature of his actions changes entirely. After a moment of contemplation, the master nodded. Go, Sanemi. Investigate thoroughly, but remember, do not act rashly. If you encounter danger, or encounter Inosuke, do not attack. Ask questions first. Yes. Sanemi accepted the order and left. What he didn't notice was that in the shadows of the courtyard, after he departed, a tall figure followed after him, awkwardly and quietly. Genya Shinazugawa. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/Cannon Breaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal Sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 103, The Storm Before the Deluge. 1,480 words. Infinity Castle. Kibutsuji Muzan sat upon the high platform, his expression darker than thunderclouds. Inosuke's arrogant face. And that line, "What do you take life for?" was like a thorn driven deep into his heart. He wanted to kill. Wanted to tear that bastard to pieces. But he didn't dare. The temptation of the blue spider lily, the shadow of Yorichi Tsugikuni, forced him to swallow this humiliation whole. Damn it, that wretched little piece of trash. Muzan's gaze drifted downward, settling on the corner of the platform. There lay a newly born demon, lower rank 6. Masasaburo. He still looked like a 6-year-old child. Except his skin had turned bluish-gray, his limbs twisted unnaturally. He lay prone on the ground, murmuring over and over. Mom. Mom. Muzan narrowed his eyes, a cruel smile curling at his lips. If he couldn't touch Inosuke, then he'd make those around him pay. He would make Inosuke understand the price of defying him. Muzan stepped forward and brutally planted his polished leather shoe onto Masasaburo's face. Hey! Muzan's voice was smooth, seductive. Brat! You don't have a mother anymore, do you? Masasaburo shuddered violently and lifted his head in confusion. Those vertical pupils filled with haze. Mom. Mom is in the Pure Land. The divine child said so. Heh. Muzan sneered, grinding his heel harder until bone cracked beneath it. The divine child. That lying divine child, his family lives quite happily, you know. A doting father, a loving mother. Fine food, luxurious clothes. And you? You poisoned your own mother, turned into this monster. And now you lie here being crushed under my foot. Aren't you angry? Don't you think this is unfair? Masasaburo froze. Something snapped inside his muddled mind. No, the divine child didn't lie. Mom is in the Pure Land. Smack! Muzan impatiently slapped him, blowing half his head apart. Blood and gore splattered. Idiot! Muzan crouched down, watching as Masasaburo's head rapidly regenerated. I already told you. Only by staying close to me do you reach paradise. Do you really trust that divine child who treated you like a monkey? Muzan extended a finger and pressed it against Masasaburo's newly formed forehead. Don't you want your mother to truly go to the Pure Land? I'll tell you how. Go kill the divine child's mother. As long as you kill the woman named Kotoha, your mother will truly reach the Pure Land. Oh really? Masasaburo's eyes lit up. As long as I kill her? Mom can go to the Pure Land. Of course. Muzan smiled in satisfaction. Go, my lower rank 6. Go deliver a grand gift to our young lord. Clang. The biwa rang out. Masasaburo's small figure vanished into the depths of Infinity Castle. Muzan straightened, staring at the now empty corner, malice and delight surging together. Inosuke, when you see your beloved mother reduced to a corpse, you'll finally understand what I take life for. Edo, Tokyo in the Taisho era. After several days of travel, the three boys arrived at the place mentioned in Akaza's letter. Though night had fallen, the city was ablaze with lights. Lanterns lined the streets, vendors shouting non-stop. Whoa! This is Edo. Tanjiro's eyes sparkled. It's even bigger than Asakusa. What's that smell? It's amazing. That's grilled squid, idiot. Inosuke shouted, stuffing his mouth full. Eat up. We still gotta pick a present for third uncle. Zenitsu, meanwhile, stared unblinkingly at the passing beauties. So many pretty ladies. This place is heaven. Oh. Inosuke kicked him square in the backside. Stop embarrassing us. Move it. The three of them darted through the bustling streets like unleashed puppies, buying all sorts of random things. This. Super spicy shikimi pepper. Third uncle love it. How about this scarf? It's embroidered with strongest. Or a lucky cat? I mean, that broken dojo doesn't look like it gets much business. Finally. Late at night. Arms full of bags, they sneaked down a narrow, secluded alley following the address. At the end stood a shabby dojo. Paint peeling, walls worn. Wow. It's really run down. Zenitsu muttered. Does anyone actually come here? This looks like a haunted house. And in an alley this creepy, third uncle's business sense is terrifying. Shut it. Inosuke shot him a glare, straightening his collar with a mischievous grin. Ready? We're giving third uncle a surprise. I'll yell dojo challenge, and we rush in together. Maybe that's not a great idea. Tanjiro hesitated. At that moment, inside the dojo, Akaza, sitting cross-legged in meditation, twitched an ear. As upper rank 3, his perception was terrifyingly sharp. He'd heard those three brats chatting from 3 kilometers away. Especially the blonde kid's complaints. Veins bulged on his forehead. Run down? Haunted house. HMPH. Tasteless little brat. Akaza opened his eyes. Yet an uncharacteristically gentle smile tugged at his lips. He stood, brushed dust from his clothes, walked to the door, cleared his throat, and deliberately called out in a calm, expectant tone. Is anyone there? So late at night, could it be disciples coming to seek instruction? Outside, the three froze. Sure. Don't make a sound. Inosuke clamped a hand over Zenitsu's mouth. Creak. The door flew open. Dojo challenge. Inosuke, Tanjiro, and Zenitsu leapt out together, holding up shikimi pepper, a scarf, and a lucky cat. Third uncle. Surprise. Bet you didn't see this coming. Akaza stared at the three idiots. At their dazzling, ridiculous smiles. The expression of fake surprise he'd prepared completely collapsed. You three, absolute idiots. He scolded them with a laugh, eyes burning slightly. He opened his arms and, for the first time, pulled the three noisy troublemakers into a hug. Welcome to my dojo. Yoshiwara Entertainment District. The most dazzling, decadent place of the night. Bright as day even at midnight. Darky walked in front, clad in a kimono, strutting like a proud peacock while acting as tour guide. Look! That's Kyogoku House. I used to be an oiran there. That's Tokito House. Their madam was stingy as hell. And that one. Best taiyaki in all of Yoshiwara. Kotoha walked behind, holding Nezuko's hand, eyes filled with wonder. So this is Yoshiwara? It's beautiful. Miss Yume, you're amazing, living here before. Hearing the praise, Darky's cheeks flushed, sweetness blooming in her chest. So, this place I hated so much, with Auntie Kotoha here, it doesn't feel so bad. As long as someone's with you, even this can be scenery. Gyutaro followed behind like a bodyguard, shoulders hunched, eyes sharp. Anyone who dared stare at Kotoha too long was scared off by his glare. Then, a group of drunken men staggered over. Seeing Kotoha and Darky's beauty, they grinned lewdly. Well damn! These ladies are fine. One reached out to touch Kotoha's face. How about a drink with us, sweetheart? What's your price? Kotoha gasped and stepped back. Whoosh! Before that filthy hand could touch her, a black shadow flashed. Crack! The man's wrist snapped instantly. Gyutaro stood in front of Kotoha, bloodsickle at the man's throat, voice icy. Who? Looking to die? Who gave you permission to touch her with those filthy hands? Aya! My hand! My hand's broken! The other men grabbed nearby objects and rushed forward. Bastard! You hurt our buddy! Smash him! Don't move! Darky turned, her obi fluttering without wind, eyes ferocious. Bloodshed was seconds away, when an icy wind appeared out of nowhere, plunging the temperature to freezing. Oh my, what an eyesore! A light, drifting voice sounded from above. A man in cult robes, golden fan in hand, sat smiling atop the roof. Doma! He'd been there all along, daring to harass my Kotoha-chan. His smile held no warmth. With a gentle flick of his fan, whoosh! Countless tiny ice crystals shot out. The men froze mid-step, then were blasted away as if struck by an invisible force. Slammed straight into the filthy gutter. Go roll somewhere far away, Tilda. Doma instantly suppressed his presence and melted back into the shadows. He clutched his chest, utterly intoxicated. Ah, too cool. This feeling, yes. This is it. Kotoha-chan must be totally swooning over how handsome I was, right? Even though she didn't see me, this is romance. This is deep love. On the street. Kotoha covered her mouth in surprise. Just now, what was that? She seemed to sense something and looked up at the rooftop. There was no one there, only the moon. Yet her lips curved into a gentle smile. You silly Doma. Following so closely and calling it letting me relax. It's fine, Miss Yume, Mr. Gyutaro. Kotoha took their hands, soothing them. Let's go. Don't let those people ruin the mood. Yeah. Darky nodded energetically, spirits restored. Come on. I'll take you to the best taiyaki place. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 104, I got fired. 1,709 words. Inside Akaza's dojo. The gifts had been delivered. The polite greetings exchanged. Akaza told them to look around as they pleased, while he himself sat down on a cushion and resumed his meditation. But the dojo, once cold and silent, now looked like it had been invaded by 3 demolition-grade huskies. Whoa! Third uncle. This wooden dummy is hard. Inosuke swung a wooden sword wildly at the training post in the center of the hall, with chips flying everywhere. What's this? What's this? In a corner, Zenitsu dragged out a dust-covered box. It was a sandbag Akaza had prepared for future disciples. It's so heavy. My back's about to snap. Third uncle, do you usually sleep wearing this? Meanwhile, Tanjiro held a rag, wiping here and there as he spoke earnestly. Akaza-san's dojo may be old, but it has a very classical feel. If we clear away these cobwebs and fix that floor over there. Enough! A furious roar exploded through the hall, accompanied by a burst of fighting spirit that shook dust loose from the rafters. Akaza, who had been sitting cross-legged on his cushion, summoning the greatest willpower of his life to ignore them, finally snapped. A pink after-image flashed. Bang! 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 3 dull thuds. One moment, the 3 boys were running amok. The next, they were neatly pressed onto 3 cushions in the middle of the dojo, like chicks being grabbed by the scruff. Sit. Still. Veins bulged on Akaza's forehead as his golden eyes locked onto them. I invited you here as guests. Not to tear my dojo apart. Move again, and I'll hang you at the entrance. The 3 immediately sat straight, obedient as quails. Yes, third uncle. Akaza took a deep breath, calmed himself, then sat cross-legged across from them. He poured tea for all 4 of them. Talk. He took a sip, eyes sweeping over the 3. You brats, why do you have time to run here instead of staying in the Demon Slayer Corps? No missions? Or did that Ubuyashiki give you a long vacation? Inosuke sat cross-legged, shrugged casually, and grabbed a pastry from the table. No missions. No vacation. Mouthful, he spoke indistinctly. We got fired. PFF. Tanjiro had just lifted his cup to drink and instantly sprayed water everywhere. Akaza's hand froze midair. He paused, as if he hadn't heard clearly, or didn't want to believe it. Fired? You? Shock flashed through his eyes, then he burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha. Akaza laughed loudly. That's the funniest joke I've heard in centuries. Are those Hashira blind? Or did a door crush their brains? Chasing away top-tier combat power? Are they tired of living? When the laughter faded, the air in the dojo suddenly congealed. The temperature plummeted. Akaza's smile vanished. He looked at Inosuke, his voice becoming eerily calm, almost gentle. But beneath that gentleness was killing intent steeped in seas of corpses. What happened? Did your identity get exposed? His fingers traced the rim of his teacup, his tone as light as if he were asking about dinner. Do you need me to go kill them for you? PFF, cough cough. This time it was Zenitsu who sprayed his tea, choking as tears streamed down his face. He stared at Akaza in horror. That look wasn't a joke. He was seriously considering it. No need. Inosuke waved his hand, swallowed his pastry, looking unconcerned. Not for now. Cutting ties is fine. They don't bother me, I won't bother them. Akaza studied him, his gaze lingering. With his eyes, he could easily see through the clothes. The fresh injuries hidden beneath. Crack! The teacup in Akaza's hand crumbled into powder. He said nothing more, only a chilling glint flashing in his eyes. Enough of that. He brushed the ceramic dust from his hands and changed the subject. Since you were kicked out, where are your parents? And that noisy darky, the gloomy Gyutaro, and that floor-sweeping Kaigaku? Why is it just you 3? They don't care about you. At that, Inosuke's eyes lit up. Heh, third uncle, you don't get it. He leaned closer and bumped Akaza's shoulder with a grin. The old man went chasing his wife. My mom went out to relax. They're in Edo right now, a Yoshiwara district. As for that idiot senior brother. Told him to come, but he wouldn't. Had to sweep. Inosuke lowered his voice conspiratorially. It's not far from here, you know. So what do you think, third uncle? Miss them? If you do, we can go right now. Who misses them? Akaza bristled like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, ears metaphorically standing up, cheeks faintly red. Who would miss those idiots? Doma's annoying to death. That darky never shuts up. I hide from them when I can. I'm peaceful here, don't know how comfortable I am. He turned his head away sharply. I'm not going. Go yourselves. Don't bother me. 15 minutes later. On the main road leading to Yoshiwara. Third uncle. Look at that lantern, it's so pretty. Third uncle. I want candied hawthorn. Third uncle. Slow down, we can't keep up. Three boys chattered endlessly around a pink-haired man in a brand new white marshal uniform. Akaza carried 3 large bundles, black lines dancing across his forehead, but he still slowed his pace to match their short legs. Shut up. You're too loud. He scolded them, yet casually bought Zenitsu a skewer of candied hawthorn and yanked Inosuke back when he tried to run off again. I'm just going to take a look, he explained stiffly as they walked. Absolutely not, because I miss them. Under the lantern light, 1 tall figure and 3 small ones cast long shadows. A forest 10 li from Yoshiwara. A white figure streaked through the woods like a gale, so fast only after images remained. Sanemi Shinazugawa. At this moment, he was like a blade drawn from its sheath, radiating violent hostility. He was going to Yoshiwara to dig out the truth with his own hands. Suddenly, Sanemi skidded to a halt, dust billowing. He didn't turn around. He stared into the darkness ahead, his voice squeezed through clenched teeth. How long are you planning to follow me? Shinazugawa Genya. The forest fell silent save for rustling leaves. Still hiding. Rage flashed through Sanemi's eyes. He drew his Nichirin blade in one smooth motion and hurled it backward without looking. Whoosh! Wind breathing wrapped around the blade like a green comet slicing through the night. Thunk! The sword skimmed past a tree trunk and embedded itself deep into the earth beside it, the hilt trembling. Ah! A cry rang out. A tall figure slowly stepped from behind the tree. Genya lowered his head like a child who'd done something wrong, clutching his shotgun tightly. Be brother. Sanemi turned, veins throbbing at his temples as he glared at the persistent shadow. I told you, didn't I? Don't follow me. Can't you understand human language? He strode over aggressively, as if he were about to tear Genya apart. Genya trembled, but he didn't back down. He lifted his head, tears in his eyes, stubbornly meeting his brother's gaze. I'm not leaving, he shouted. Are you going to risk everything alone again? Mr. Yuzui said that place is dangerous. There's a powerful female demon there. If you go alone, you'll die. I want to help. I'm not the useless crybaby I used to be. Bang! Before he could finish, Sanemi was already in front of him. He lifted his leg and kicked Genya hard in the stomach. The force sent Genya flying back, slamming into a tree with a dull thud. Cough! Genya curled up, clutching his abdomen in agony. Help me! Sanemi looked down at him coldly, like he was staring at a stranger. You? A useless piece of trash who can't even use breathing techniques? A lowlife who has to eat demons to fight? Get lost! He pointed fiercely in the opposite direction. Stop following me, or I'll kill you myself. With that, Sanemi yanked his blade from the ground, didn't spare Genya another glance, and sprinted toward Yoshiwara. Not a trace of hesitation in his back. Genya slumped against the tree, watching him disappear, tears finally spilling over. So you still won't forgive me? He wiped his eyes, gritted his teeth, and forced himself up. Even if you kill me, I'm still following. That clumsy figure melted back into the darkness. Yoshiwara Entertainment District. Deep into the night, the liveliest hour of the pleasure quarters. Neon lights, flowing silk, laughter and wine everywhere. Men seeking pleasure and courtesans heavy with makeup filled the streets. Amid the crowd, a small figure in tattered clothes stood out starkly. Lower rank 6, Masasaburo. Muzan had sent him here. He caused no disturbance. In Yoshiwara, strange-looking people were common enough, and if you didn't look closely, he resembled nothing more than a sickly beggar child. Masasaburo stood in the middle of the street, staring around in confusion. Too many people. Too much powder and alcohol masking the scent he sought. Mom, where is Mom? He muttered, eyes hollow and feverish. Kill the divine child's mother, and Mom can go to the Pure Land. Mom will forgive me. She'll praise me for being a good, filial child. Like a hunting dog, he weaved through the crowd, searching for a woman with a scent and face similar to the divine child. A breeze passed. A trace of that familiar scent. Gentle. Warm, like sunlight. Masasaburo's nose twitched sharply. Those vertical pupils locked onto a direction. Not far away, at a doorway. A woman in a pale purple kimono stood smiling, holding a little girl's hand as she accepted candy from a courtesan. Her smile was so gentle, so kind, like a bodhisattva from a painting. Her face resembled the divine child Inosuke seated on the high platform, 7 parts alike. Hashibira Kotoha. Masasaburo's mouth split into a grotesque grin, stretching to his ears, sharp fangs exposed. Found you. Lowering his body, using the crowd as cover. He crept soundlessly toward that gentle silhouette. The storm was about to break. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal Sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 105, 3 upper moons. 1803 words. Yoshiwara's night was ablaze with lights, the noise drowned out killing intent. Masasaburo's fingernails had turned pitch black, soaked in the venom born of obsession. Just a scratch, only the tiniest break in the skin, and the woman who looked like a living bodhisattva would die on the spot. Mom. I'm here. Masasaburo suddenly burst forward. His scrawny body left a blurred afterimage in the air, bone spikes thrusting straight for Kotoha's nape. But just as his fingertips came within an inch of her. Swish! A hand mottled with black spots reached out of nowhere and clamped around Masasaburo's head. Like lifting a chick by the scruff, it effortlessly stopped him midair. Ua! Masasaburo's pupils shrank violently. Suspended in the air, he kicked frantically. Hey, brat! A voice like gravel lodged in a throat sounded beside his ear. Gyutaro had appeared behind him at some unknown moment. What have you been staring at all this time? The blood sickle in Gyutaro's hand rose slowly, its blade resting against Masasaburo's neck. That disgusting look in your eyes. Are you looking to die? Masasaburo went rigid. This was absolute suppression from a higher being. Even though Muzan had promoted him to lower rank 6, before a true upper rank he was still fragile as paper. On a nearby rooftop. Just as he was about to move, Doma stopped, sat back down, and idly fanned himself, eyes narrowing. Oh? This little brat. Did the boss send him? How amusing. Is this meant to disgust us? Doma didn't hurry down. He trusted Gyutaro. At this distance, no one could hurt Kotoha. Yet the killing intent in his rainbow-colored eyes was nearly impossible to conceal. But Doma was wrong. In this world, there were always lunatics faster than demons. And far more unreasonable. At the exact instant Gyutaro was about to sever Masasaburo's head. Whoom! A savage, emerald-green cyclone erupted without warning from the far end of the street. Carrying a world-shattering momentum, it ripped through the crowd and charged straight in. Fast, too fast. That speed, that utterly unrestrained killing intent. Who's there? Gyutaro instinctively tried to swing his sickle to block. But the wind was viciously precise. It cut directly toward the arm holding Masasaburo. Wind breathing, first form. Dust whirlwind, cleaving slash. Splurt. Blood sprayed everywhere. A withered arm, still clutching Masasaburo, was severed and sent flying into the air. Brother! Ahead, Darky, who had been holding Tayaki and explaining things to Kotoha, whirled around. Plop! The severed arm fell. The blood gushing from the stump didn't hit the ground, instead, it splattered across Kotoha's kimono. Dots of crimson bloomed on the elegant fabric, like plum blossoms opening on snow. Painfully vivid. Kotoha froze. She stared at the blood on her clothes, then at the white-haired man who had appeared behind her, her mind going blank. Where's the female demon? A thunderous roar shook the street. Sanemi Shinazugawa stood there gripping his still-dripping Nichirin blade, bloodshot eyes scanning the area like a madman. The beautiful female demon. Is it you? His gaze locked instantly onto Kotoha, because she was the only woman here who looked protected. Is it you? The one hiding in the pleasure district. His blade tip pointed at Kotoha. Then he froze. Too weak. There wasn't the slightest trace of demonic aura on her. Her breathing was ragged and chaotic, she was clearly an ordinary human. Did I get it wrong? Sanemi frowned. In that split second. With Gyutaro's arm severed, Masasaburo regained his freedom and fell to the ground, right at Kotoha's feet. Mom. Pure land. Musen's words filled his head. He didn't care what was happening around him. Like a rabid dog, he opened his mouth full of fangs and lunged for Kotoha's calf. Just as those jaws were about to close. Boom! A Jita-clad foot slammed into Masasaburo's face with terrifying force. He didn't even have time to scream, his whole body flew like a kickball, smashing through the wall of a nearby shop and disappearing into the rubble. Darky stood in front of Kotoha. The steaming taiyaki she'd been holding, meant for Kotoha to try, had fallen to the ground, now covered in dust and blood. She had waited in line so long for that. She'd wanted Kotoha to praise her good taste. Darky lowered her head, staring at the filthy taiyaki. Then she looked up, at the bloodstains on Kotoha's clothes. Then at her brother's empty sleeve. Ah! Darky's body began to tremble. The fragile bubble of happiness she had finally built, popped once again, mercilessly. Why? She raised her head. Her once beautiful face twisted instantly, veins bulging. Razor-sharp obi sashes burst from her back like venomous snakes, whipping wildly through the air. Why is it always like this? Every time I finally feel a little happy. Every time I try to live a normal life just a bit. Trash like you shows up to ruin it. In Darky's gold-green eyes were carved words of despair. Upper rank 6. Are you asking to die? Pay me back for my taiyaki. Pay me back for Auntie Kotoha's clothes. Pay me back for my brother's arm. I'll kill you all. I'll tear every last one of you into pieces. Boom. Terrifying upper-rank demonic pressure erupted outward. Ordinary people screamed and fled in panic. Sanemi Shinazugawa looked at the rampaging Darky, not with fear, but with a feral grin. Ha! Found you! I knew Yuzui was blind, this much demonic aura, and he said he didn't see anything. He flicked the blood from his blade, his eyes turning dangerously sharp. Hey, demon woman. What's your relationship with that brat in a suke? That little play he put on in the pleasure district, were you working with him? Inosuke? Hearing that name made Darky explode even more. You dare say his name? You're the one who injured him, aren't you? You're the one who drove him out of the Demon Slayer Corps, aren't you? Blood Demon Art, eightfold obi slash. Countless sashes sliced toward Sanemi like blades. Good. Sanemi charged forward instead of retreating, wind breathing fully unleashed. On the rooftop. Doma still hadn't moved to help. He stood above, the night wind fluttering his cult leader robes, rainbow eyes coldly watching the battle below. So it's him, is it? He softly spoke Sanemi's name. A very familiar aura. That day when Inosuke came back, the wounds he carried still held this scent. Doma lightly tapped his palm with his golden fan, lips curling into a smile without warmth. I was going to let it go, since Inosuke said we were even. But you came knocking yourself. Since you're here, don't leave. His gaze swept outward. Several hundred meters away, in the shadows of the street, a clumsy figure was sprinting desperately toward them. Shinazugawa Genya. Oh? Who's that? Doma squinted. He looks an awful lot like that bastard. A younger brother. So you have family too, how interesting. Picked on Inosuke so much you got addicted? In that case, let's have some fun. Doma glanced at Masasaburo, who was climbing out of the rubble, preparing to sneak attack Kotoha again. A savage smile crossed his face, the same one he'd worn the day he killed Sasaki. Since he's a gift from Lord Muzan. Let's make some use of this trash. Doma vanished. The next instant. As Genya ran, his vision suddenly blurred. Boom! A black shape crashed down in front of him, shattering the stone pavement beneath his feet. Cough! Masasaburo tumbled across the ground. When he looked up, he saw Genya's fierce face, and the dark barrel of a gun pointed at him. What the hell is that? Genya jumped back in shock. From a nearby rooftop, Doma's playful voice rang out. Hey, kid. That guy with the gun, kill him. Then you can go to the Pure Land too. Masasaburo's thoroughly brainwashed mind couldn't process truth or lies. He only heard kill him and Pure Land. Kill. Kill. He sprang up, fangs bared, lunging at Genya. Genya reacted instantly. Bang! The gun roared. A demon. Where did this demon come from? Having arranged his dogs biting dogs performance. Doma clapped his hands and straightened his clothes. He suppressed his aura completely, drifting lazily down from the rooftop and walking into the main battlefield. At that moment, Sanemi Shinazugawa was locked in fierce combat with the sibling pair. Gyutaro's arm had already regenerated. Fighting together, the two of them were pushing even the Wind Hashira to his limits. Damn it! So this is an upper rank. Sanemi gritted his teeth, blocking Gyutaro's blood sickle. Several new gashes had opened across his body. This is good stuff. At the moment his old force was spent and new force not yet ready. A cold, slender hand silently settled on his shoulder. Every hair on Sanemi's body exploded upward. Someone. When? Why hadn't I sensed anything at all? A smiling voice that sent him plunging into icy dread whispered into his ear. Oh. So we finally meet. Doma stood behind Sanemi, that exquisitely beautiful face wearing a mask of utter falseness. He didn't attack right away, just patted Sanemi's shoulder lightly, like greeting an old friend. So, you're the bad older brother who bullied my son. Sanemi spun around. Time seemed to freeze. He saw a pair of eyes. Eyes too beautiful to be real. And deep within that rainbow shimmer were two characters that made his heart stop cold. Upper rank 2. Sanemi's mind went blank. Upper rank 6. Upper rank 2. And over there another demon fighting Genya. 3? There were 312 Kizuki here. After a brief moment of shock, the expression on Sanemi's face didn't collapse. It twisted. His grin stretched wider and wider until it became utterly deranged. Ha 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 ha. Sanemi leapt back, forcibly widening the distance between himself and Doma. 3. There are actually 3. Perfect. This is perfect. I was just wondering where to find you cowardly bastards. He didn't attack immediately. Instead, he put his fingers to his mouth. Why-yip! A piercing whistle tore through Yoshiwara's night sky. Flap, flap, flap. A Katagai crow hidden in the shadows seemed to gain a second life. It flapped its wings frantically, shooting toward Demon Slayer headquarters. That was the highest level distress signal. Sanemi stood firm, blade at the ready. Blood flowed from his wounds, but his fighting spirit blazed hotter than ever. Finally caught you. He licked the blood from the corner of his mouth, eyes gleaming like a wolf's. Don't even think about running. Tonight, right here. I'm wiping every last one of you bastards out in one sweep. Doma watched the crow fly away, the smile in his eyes growing even deeper. Calling for help? Good. Then we'll settle all our debts at once. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal Sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 106, Education Through Love. 1547 words. The Katagai crow beat its wings and vanished into the night. The madness on Shinazugawa Sanemi's face reached its peak. As long as I can hold out. Just hold out until the Demon Slayer reinforcements arrive, then we can win. Come on. You pieces of trash. Sanemi roared, every muscle in his body tightening as wind breathing was driven to its absolute limit. Facing upper rank 2 Doma behind him, and the Darky Gyutaro siblings in front of him, he didn't retreat even half a step, instead, he charged forward. Wind breathing, 3rd form. Clear storm wind tree. A violent gale exploded outward from Sanemi's body. Invisible blades of wind lashed out indiscriminately at every demon around him. Clang! 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 Gyutaro swung his blood sickles wildly, colliding again and again with the Nichirin blade, sparks flying. Darky sashes slithered in like venomous snakes, slipping through gaps, trying to sever Sanemi's limbs. What admirable fighting spirit! Doma lightly leapt backward, evading Sanemi's slash. He wasn't in a hurry to act. Gently fanning himself, he watched Sanemi struggle as if enjoying a play. A pity. Far too reckless. Fighting 2 upper ranks alone, Sanemi actually managed to hold his ground against the siblings' assault. His swordplay was brutal and ferocious, purely a life-for-life exchange. Even when Darky's sashes carved bloody lines across his body, he still forced deep, bone-revealing wounds into Gyutaro. Die! Die, you ugly freak! Sanemi bellowed, his eyes bloodshot. The battle was deadlocked. Every second felt as long as a century. Doma, who had been lingering at the edge of the battlefield, suddenly shifted his gaze to Kotoha, standing far off to the side. That gentle woman was staring blankly at her kimono, now stained with the filthy blood that had sprayed from Gyutaro's severed arm. The teasing look in Doma's eyes vanished instantly. It was like a clear sky suddenly collapsing into a blizzard. Whoosh! Doma disappeared. The next instant, he appeared beside Kotoha. Oh dear, it's dirty. Amid the brutal battlefield, Doma's voice was absurdly gentle. He took out a spotless white handkerchief from his sleeve and, with the care one would use on a priceless treasure, carefully wiped the blood from Kotoha's kimono. Don't be afraid, Kotoha-chan. It might not come out completely, but I'll make you a new one when we get back. His tone was full of heartache, as if the stained clothing mattered more than the battle itself. Kotoha's face was pale. She looked at him and asked in a trembling voice. Lord Doma, that person, what is going on? Sure. Doma raised a finger to her lips and smiled reassuringly. It's nothing. That man is a bad person who bullied Inosuke. He beat up our son in the Demon Slayer Corps, and even drove him out. All the wounds on Inosuke's body, he caused them. At the mention of Inosuke being hurt, pain flashed through Kotoha's eyes. Doma gently patted her head and guided her toward Nezuko. Nezuko, make sure you protect Mommy, Okay. Then. Doma turned around. The instant he did, every trace of warmth vanished from his face. In his rainbow-colored eyes, there was no longer even a hint of gentleness, only the exhilaration of slaughter. All right. Doma looked toward Sanemi, still fighting desperately in the distance, and snapped his golden fan shut. Time to help Inosuke let off some steam. At the center of the battlefield, Sanemi had just forced Gyutaro back with a slash and was gulping for air, trying to adjust his breathing rhythm. When suddenly, the temperature plummeted. The air turned piercingly cold, even his breath came out as white frost. Oh my, white-haired sir. Having fun, are we? A light, floating voice sounded above him. Sanemi jerked his head up, pupils shrinking violently. Doma was hovering in midair, gently waving his golden fan, his posture elegant, like a dancer beneath the moon. Blood Demon art. Lotus leaf ice. Countless crystal-clear ice lotuses rained down from the sky, each one radiating visible freezing air. Stunningly beautiful, and lethally poisonous. TCH. Flashin' nonsense. Sanemi instinctively tried to shatter the ice lotuses with his breathing. He sucked in a deep breath, chest swelling, preparing to unleash a powerful strike. Total concentration, wind breathing. But the moment he inhaled, cough, cough, cough. An indescribable agony exploded from his throat and spread through his lungs. It felt as though he had inhaled countless shards of glass instead of air. GHH. Sanemi clutched his chest and staggered backward, vomiting a mouthful of blood mixed with icy fragments. His complexion turned bluish-purple in an instant. His lungs were frozen. Oh? You didn't know? Doma landed lightly on the ground, crushing an ice flower beneath his foot, explaining with an innocent look. The ice crystals created by my blood demon art are extremely toxic. If you inhale them directly, your alveoli will necrotize. For swordsmen like you, who rely on breathing techniques, they're practically a gift. Sanemi's heart sank straight into the abyss. For demon slayers, breathing was life itself, the source of all strength. Now, every breath felt like knives carving his lungs. Oxygen couldn't circulate. His power was rapidly draining away. Can't breathe. Can't use total concentration. Facing 3 upper ranks. How am I supposed to fight this? Already despairing, Doma walked toward him step by step, frost forming beneath each footfall. Gyutaro and Daki silently stopped attacking and withdrew to the sides, sealing off Sanemi's escape route. They knew Lord Doma was about to act personally. Sanemi struggled to glance backward. Several hundred meters away, Genya was still grappling with the crazed Masasaburo. Genya didn't know breathing techniques, he was relying purely on his body. Now he was already covered in bites, screaming in pain. Run? If I run? Genya will definitely die. Veins bulged on the back of Sanemi's hand as he gripped his blade. He looked at Doma like an insurmountable mountain. At those emotionless, rainbow-colored eyes. I can't win. There's absolutely no way. Hey, white hair. Doma stopped 5 meters in front of him. He put his fan away at his waist. On his refined face was a mix of curiosity and cruel amusement. That day at the Demon Slayer Corps, Doma extended a long finger and pointed to his own abdomen, where Inosuke had been injured. You used your fist to hit Inosuke right here, didn't you? Hit him pretty hard, too. Sanemi stared back in silence, forcing himself to endure the searing pain in his lungs, desperately squeezing out what little air he could. I don't like hand-to-hand combat. It's crude. Doesn't suit my status. Doma tilted his head. His smile twisted, like a demon finally baring its fangs. But for you, I'll make an exception. Boom. Doma vanished again. Sanemi's vision blurred. Instinctively, he tried to raise his blade to block. But his current speed, to Doma, was no faster than a snail. Bam! A pale, slender fist slammed brutally into Sanemi's abdomen. A fist. Pure, personal, driven by grievance. Bwah! Sanemi's body folded instantly like a shrimp. His eyes nearly popped out as a massive spray of blood, mixed with shattered organs, splashed across Doma's clothes. The pain nearly knocked him unconscious. This punch, Doma said coldly, is repayment for hitting Inosuke. Before Sanemi could even be sent flying, Doma grabbed his signature spiky white hair and violently yanked him back. Bam! Another punch smashed into Sanemi's face. The sound of his nasal bone shattering rang out clearly. This punch is your welcome gift. Bam! 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 A one-sided massacre. Doma beat him like a punching bag, every strike landing solidly, carefully avoiding vital spots, yet delivering maximum agony. Cracking sounds of ribs breaking rang out one after another. Sanemi's face was soon a bloody mess, swollen like a pig's head. How is it? Does it hurt? Doma laughed as he struck him. The demonic brutality he'd suppressed for over a decade finally found release. When you hit my son, did you ever think this day would come? When you cursed him, did you imagine being trampled under my feet? Hiss. As Sanemi's wounds multiplied, an overwhelmingly rich fragrance spread across the battlefield. Rare blood. To demons, it was the finest aged wine. Futaro and Daki, who had been watching, instantly froze, eyes glazed, saliva uncontrollably dripping. So fragrant, so fragrant. Even Masasaburo, who was facing Genya, stopped moving, greedily sniffing the air, madness deepening in his eyes. Doma's hand paused. He hadn't eaten humans in over 10 years. For Kotoha. For Inosuke. He had endured it. But this scent. It was too tempting. Like an oasis to a traveler lost in the desert. Like a banquet to a starving demon. Wow tilde. Doma licked the blood clinging to the back of his hand. The sweetness instantly overstimulated his nerves, sanity beginning to crumble in his eyes. Rare blood? What a delightful surprise! Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Doma laughed widely, his voice echoing through the night. Perfect! I'll beat you to death, then eat you. That way, Inosuke's grudge is settled, and I get a full meal. Kotoha won't blame me, right? After all, you struck first. Doma raised his fist, preparing to deliver the final blow, to completely end this lesson in love. Just at that moment. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. Patreon.com/Canonbreaker. Sparkles bonus chapter goal Sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Chapter 107, A Deeper Layer of Despair. 856 words. Ah! Brother! From the distance came Genya's heart-rending scream. Stimulated by the scent of rare blood, Masasaburo grew even more feral. Seizing the instant Genya lost focus out of concern for his brother, he lunged forward and sank his teeth into Genya's shoulder, tearing off a huge chunk of flesh. That scream struck Sanemi's dying consciousness like a bolt of lightning. His pupils, already unfocused, snapped back into clarity. He saw his younger brother in the distance, covered in blood. His only remaining family. The final line he would protect even if the entire world misunderstood him. Even if he had to turn himself into a villain to do so. Genya. No. Absolutely not. Thump. Sanemi's heart began pounding wildly. His body temperature skyrocketed. His blood boiled like molten lava, forcibly evaporating the freezing cold inside him. A power beyond his limit surged out of his shattered body. Bzzzzz. A green, windmill-like pattern slowly emerged on Sanemi's cheek. Mark awakened. Get the hell away from him. Boom. Sanemi violently tore himself free from Doma's grip. His Nichiren blade erupted with an unprecedented storm of wind. Even if his lungs were frozen. Even if every breath meant coughing up blood. To hell with these lungs. Wind breathing. Ninth form, Gaiden Typhoon. The ferocious slash forced Doma back, even tearing a long gash through his expensive cult leader's robe. Sanemi, drenched in blood, stood in the middle of the street like a blood-soaked Azura. He planted himself firmly between Genya and the demons, blade pointed at the three upper ranks before him. If you want to touch my brother. Sanemi gasped for air, every word sprayed with blood foam. Then you'll have to step over my corpse first. Seeing this, Doma froze for a moment. He looked down at the tear in his clothing. Then he clutched his stomach and burst into even louder, sharper laughter. Ha 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 ha. Oh my, oh my. How touching. He pointed at Sanemi, laughing so hard tears nearly came out. Look at you, ha 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 ha, look at that face of yours. Seeing your little brother hurt, does it hurt you too? Does it make you angry? Does it make you want to fight with everything you've got? The laughter cut off abruptly. Doma's face suddenly moved right up to Sanemi's, those rainbow eyes stripped of all mirth. Then when you hurt my son. Do you think I didn't feel pain? And you dare be angry? Rumble. Doma no longer held back. Behind him, a gigantic bodhisattva figure materialized. Blood Demon Art. Frozen Mist, Sleeping Lotus Bodhisattva. At the same time, Gyutaro and Daki, stimulated by the rare blood, also erupted at full power. Blood Demon Art, Circular Slashing Rotation. Blood Demon Art, Flying Sash Slash. Three upper ranks bore down upon the exhausted Sanemi like the collapse of the heavens. Sanemi fought desperately. The mark granted him a brief window of resistance. But the gap was far too vast. Three upper ranks. And one of them, upper rank 2, had never even shown his true strength before. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Wounds multiplied across Sanemi's body. His blade slowed. His consciousness blurred. His vision drowned in red. I can't. I'm really at my limit. Sanemi staggered backward and slammed against a wall, vomiting blood in huge gulps. He looked at the three insurmountable mountains before him, despair filling his heart. Behind him, Genya was still screaming. In front of him were three demons intent on tearing him apart. With great difficulty, Sanemi lifted his head and looked toward the pitch-black night sky. In his bloodshot eyes lingered the last shred of hope. The Kashagi Crow. It should have already flown out of Yoshiwara, right? Master, the other Hashira, please hurry. Just hold on a little longer. And then. Are you looking for this? A voice, so familiar it pierced straight to the bone, suddenly rang out from a nearby rooftop. Sanemi snapped his head around. All the demons looked up at once. On the high ridge, bathed in moonlight, stood four figures. At the center was a smiling faintly down at Sanemi. That exquisitely beautiful face carried a smile 5 parts similar to Doma's. Hashibira Inosuke. On his left stood Tanjiro, his expression complicated. On his right was Zenitsu, ice-cold and unreadable. And behind them, a man whose oppressive presence rivaled Doma's himself. Upper rank 3, Akaza. But what made Sanemi's heart stop dead was the black crow hanging upside down in Inosuke's hand. The very Kashagi crow Sanemi had just sent out for help. It struggled desperately in Inosuke's grip. Inosuke looked down at the blood-soaked, stunned wind Hashira and slowly raised the crow, letting it sway in the moonlight like a trophy. Hey, mad dog. Inosuke's voice was light and clear. Looking for this? What a shame. He tilted his head, revealing two sharp little fangs, his eyes brimming with mockery. Your reinforcements. Unluckily for you. I happened to see them. In that instant, the light in Shinazugawa Sanemi's eyes went completely dark. I'll be dropping 1 bonus chapters for every 10 reviews. Comment. 1 bonus chapter will be released for every 100 power stones. You can read all chapter ahead on Patreon if you're interested, patreon.com/canonbreaker. Chapter 108, Let Me Do It. 2,117 words. Inosuke landed lightly on the ruined street. With a casual flick of his wrist, he tossed the Kazhigai crow into Tanjiro's arms. Hold on to it. Don't hurt small animals. Then he walked straight toward the center of the battlefield. Doma was still leisurely fanning himself, looking down at the barely breathing Shinazugawa Sanemi with lingering interest, as if pondering where to take the first bite. Dad. Inosuke's voice wasn't loud, but it carried an authority that brooked no refusal. Let me handle this. Doma froze for a moment, blinking his golden eyes. Oh? Inosuke? But Daddy hasn't had enough fun yet. And this guy was just trying to kill me, you know. I said. Inosuke cut in, stepping forward and placing himself between Doma and Sanemi, his back to Doma. Let me do it. This is between me and him. Let me handle it. Doma looked at his son's back. That little lump of flesh who once could only crawl on the ground had grown into a boy who dared to command an upper rank. That domineering presence. That ferocity in his eyes. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right, Tilda. Doma immediately broke into an indulgent smile, as if the demon who'd been ready to eat someone moments ago had never existed. Since Inosuke wants to do it himself, Daddy won't interfere. He turned and waved toward Daki and Gyutaro. Hey, little Yume. Gyutaro, don't just stand there. Come on, let's see what kind of gifts Lord Akaza brought. Don't interrupt Inosuke while he's working. Though Daki was still resentful about not being the one to kill a Hashira, once Doma spoke, she obediently withdrew her sashes. Just like that, the 3 upper ranks casually retreated to the edge of the battlefield, like bored nobles watching a performance, crowding around the expressionless Akaza. At the center of the battlefield, only Inosuke and Sanemi remained. Inosuke bent down, grabbed Sanemi by his blood-soaked white, spiky hair, and forced his head up. Sanemi's face was completely deformed from the beating, one eye swollen shut. But the remaining eye still burned with fury. Try, Tor. He forced the word out through clenched teeth, spitting bloody foam onto Inosuke's face. If you've got the guts, just kill me. Inosuke didn't wipe off the blood. He looked at this mad dog who was still snapping even at death's door, his emotions tangled and heavy. This idiot. All the careful planning, all the balance I paid for with humiliation and endurance, he almost ruined it all by charging in like this. Lowering his voice so only the two of them could hear, Inosuke snarled. Are you insane? Who told you to come here? Who told you to throw your life away? Do you think this is somewhere you can handle? 3 upper ranks. Do you think you're a god? Sanemi froze. He'd expected mockery or a killing blow, never this furious scolding, like disappointment forged into rage. But anger quickly drowned out his reason, and he struggled violently. Don't pretend to care, you bastard. If you're going to kill me, then do it. Smack! A crisp slap echoed through the street. Inosuke didn't hold back at all. He slapped Sanemi hard across the face, sending his head ringing. Are you stupid? Inosuke yanked him up by the collar, forcing him to look toward a distant corner. There, Masasaburo was still tearing into Genya, who was covered in blood. Genya screamed in pain but stubbornly protected his vital spots. Kill you? Inosuke pointed at Genya, roaring hoarsely. If you die, what happens to Genya? Do you want him to die here with you? Boom! Those words hit Sanemi like a bucket of ice water, instantly dousing the heat in his head. Genya. His little brother. Following Inusuke's finger, Sanemi looked over. He saw that clumsy, foolish brother who had followed him here without hesitation. The fury on Sanemi's face shattered, replaced by a grief so deep it nearly swallowed him whole. Let him live. Sanemi's voice trembled, softer than it had ever been. He turned to Inusuke, the killing intent in his eyes turning into a plea. I'm begging you, just let him live. I can die. I don't care, even if those demons eat me. As long as Genya survives. Huh? Inusuke laughed. Not because it was funny, because he was furious. Smack! Another slap, even harder than before, sent one of Sanemi's teeth flying. Wake up, you bastard! Inusuke stared straight into Sanemi's eyes. Who said you get to die? Who gave you permission to die? If you die, what about everything that comes after? What happens to Genya with no brother? You think I was joking when I said I wanted a perfect ending? Inusuke leaned close to Sanemi's ear. Listen carefully, mad dog. I have a way for both of you to live. It's going to hurt like hell. But if you listen to me, nobody has to die tonight. Sanemi looked up at him in disbelief, staring at this he could no longer understand. What way? Inusuke let go, and Sanemi collapsed back onto the ground. Bang! Inusuke lifted his leg and mercilessly whipped it down into Sanemi's head, sending him rolling several times across the ground. Standing under the moonlight, Inusuke crooked his finger at the battered Hashira, his gaze full of contempt. Keep fighting. He shouted deliberately, making sure Doma could hear. Fight me. Fight until dawn. Fight until my dad, my sister, and my uncle are all satisfied. Only then do you earn the right to live. Inusuke drew the paired metal fans from his waist. The blade snapped open, gleaming coldly. Come on, Shinazugawa Sanemi. Let's finish the fight we didn't finish at the Demon Slayer Core. This time, no one's stopping us. What's wrong? Weren't you pretty cocky just now? Can't move anymore. Sanemi lay on the ground, listening. Then he laughed. As he laughed, tears mixed with blood streamed down his face. He understood. This damn brat was using this brutal, humiliating method to save his life. To smash open a path of survival for both brothers in a situation that should have meant certain death. Cough, this is interesting. Sanemi staggered to his feet, wiping blood from his face. The fire in his eyes reignited, stronger than before. Inusuke? You're one hell of a man. He gripped his heavily chipped Nichirin blade. In that case, I can't waste this chance. Ah. Ignoring the agony in his lungs, Sanemi wrung out the very last of his strength and charged at Inusuke. Good. Inusuke laughed, the joy of meeting a true opponent. Rinhi breathing, ice flame wild dance. Wind breathing, first form, violent gale slash. Sanemi's blade summoned a roaring storm, trying to tear through the seal of ice and fire. Boom! 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 The two breathing styles collided violently in the center of the street. Each clash triggered a deafening explosion. This wasn't sparring. This was real slaughter. Every strike from Inusuke went for a vital point. Every swing from Sanemi aimed to take Inusuke's head. They both knew, if the act wasn't convincing enough, it wouldn't fool the three upper ranks watching. Wow Tilda? From a rooftop at the edge of the battlefield, Doma clapped enthusiastically, kicking Akaza in the butt as he did. Marvelous! Truly marvelous! Look at my Inusuke! Those moves, that posture, just like me. So dazzling as a human or a demon. As expected of my masterpiece. Beside him, Akaza snorted, arms crossed. He didn't say it out loud, but the approval in his eyes was unmistakable. HMPH. I taught him that move. Though his power transfer's still a bit rough. He'll need extra training later. Darky, meanwhile, pouted as she leaned against Gyutaro. That guy's so annoying, why isn't he dead yet? But Inosuke's fighting looks so cool. Way cooler than you, brother. Gyutaro, that hurts. Nearby, Tanjiro and Zenitsu watched in panic. How did it turn into this? Zenitsu trembled. Boss is really fighting him. And he's trying to kill him. That Wind Hashira's going to cough up all his blood at this rate. Inosuke? Tanjiro's hand rested on his sword hilt. His nose caught the conflicting scent swirling around Inosuke. He wanted to help Genya, Masasaburo was still rampaging. Just as he moved. Whoosh! A figure blocked their path. Doma stood there, smiling gently as he waved his fan, but his rainbow eyes were ice-cold. Zenitsu-kun, Tanjiro-kun. His voice was soft and utterly unyielding. You don't need to interfere. This is Inosuke's stage. Let him finish it himself. But Tanjiro panicked. Genya can't hold on much longer. He's Inosuke's subordinate too. Oh. Doma tilted his head and glanced at the blood-soaked Genya in the distance. That gun kid is Inosuke's friend too. But he's the little brother of that annoying white-haired guy. What a complicated relationship. He tapped his temple, then smiled innocently. It's fine. Since he's the white-haired guy's brother. Let him suffer a little first. Debts of the father are paid by the son, debts of the brother by the brother. Very fair, right Tilda? At the center of the battlefield, the fight reached its climax. Sanemi's stamina was completely drained, held together only by sheer will and the mark. Inosuke was in better shape, but his old wounds had reopened. Break already! Inosuke roared, seizing a brief opening in Sanemi's swing. The two adamantine fans snapped shut like enormous shears, clamping down hard on Sanemi's Nichirin blade. Crack! A sharp, brittle sound rang out. The sword that had slain countless demons snapped in half. The broken blade flew away and embedded itself in a wooden pillar nearby. You bastard! Sanemi stared at the broken weapon, his eyes blazing red. That was a swordsman's pride. Die! He hurled the broken hilt straight at Inosuke's face. Then did something no one expected. Like a cornered beast, he spread his arms and lunged at Inosuke. No sword, then fists. Teeth. Head. You mad dog. Inosuke dodged the hilt and felt the madness in his own eyes explode. Whoosh! He casually flung the priceless fans behind him. Gonpachiro! Catch! Then he charged as well. Two blood-soaked, hot-tempered, utterly insane men collided and grappled. Bang! Sanemi's fist smashed into Inosuke's face. This punch is for lying to us. Why didn't you tell us what you were planning, you bastard? Bang! Inosuke countered, slamming his fist into Sanemi's nose. I do whatever I want. None of your damn business, you troublemaking idiot. They rolled across the ground, mud, blood, and sweat mixing together. Pure, primal violence. Sanemi choked Inosuke as he roared. Inosuke! What the hell are you trying to do? Let go. Inosuke kicked him in the gut. I'll do whatever I damn well please. Who do you think you are? Bang! 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 Dull, meaty impacts echoed through the pre-dawn darkness, mixed with their hoarse screams. Gradually, Sanemi's movement slowed. His injuries were too severe. His lungs frozen. Blood loss massive. Boom! Inosuke seized the chance. He mounted Sanemi, raised his fist, gathered all his strength. and drove it down hard. The punch smashed Sanemi's face into the ground, blasting out a crater. Gravel flew, cutting his cheek. Sanemi lay in the pit, gasping, his eyes unfocused. He couldn't move. Inusuke panted, looking down at him. Then he lifted his foot and planted it on Sanemi's blood-soaked head. "Hey!" Inusuke's voice was hoarse, dripping with chilling mockery. "Mad dog! That's it? You're already down. Weren't you pretty loud just now?" He glanced eastward. A faint sliver of pale light was creeping into the sky. Dawn was approaching. "Get up!" Inusuke pressed down harder, grinding Sanemi's head into the ground. "It's not daylight yet. My family. They haven't had enough of a show. Get up. Keep fighting. As long as you're still breathing. Don't even think about resting." Under the humiliation and pain crushing down on him, Sanemi saw it. Through blood-blurred vision, the flicker of urgency in Inusuke's eyes. "Hurry up. Get up. Or my dad's going to step in." "Heh!" Sanemi let out a low chuckle. His fingers dug deep into the dirt. Every cell in his body screamed in protest. But he moved. Bit by bit, shaking violently, he forced himself upright. Like a corpse clawing back to life. "As you wish." Sanemi stood, swaying, ready to collapse at any second. "Come on. I can still fight. Tonight, it's either you die. Or I live. Rah!" They roared and charged once more. In the Yoshiwara district, just before dawn. Two figures collided again, violently, without restraint. You can read full book on Patreon if you're interested. patreon.com/Cannon Sparkles bonus chapter goal Sparkles. 10 reviews equals 1 bonus chapter. 100 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. Don't forget to like and subscribe to SALLYFOXAUDIOBOOK.